Just wait for social media to catch up. Just wait for social media. I can see a few of you have come on now. Evening all. Lee Ashby here. Motocross and Speedway Memories. Hope you're good. Hello, Mr. Shales. How's it going? Any of you guys and girls that are coming on tonight on Facebook, I've just been pre-doing this. Been writing in the comments the link you need to click on to give your Facebook privacy permission to use your name. So then I can see who I'm talking to when you ask me a question or you come up on the side. And then I can quote that to Danny, the man himself. Speaking to Mr. Chin James there. Not bad, buddy. How's you? So, Danny La Porte, quick little history. He won the AMA American 500cc Motocross Championship. Then he ended up moving on to Europe and won the 1982, I think it was, 250cc GPs in Europe as well. So he's world champion. Then he went on to do desert racing and was in the 1,000, I think it's called the 1,000 Bargy. And won that as well multiple times. Then he ended up going in the rally cars and he did the Paris-Dakar. I believe he was even second in the Paris-Dakar as well, and also won a stage in that as well. So he was obviously did pretty much everything there was to do. I couldn't find a picture of him though. Also, make sure all you guys and girls that are going to be coming to racing with us with our Motocross and Speedway Memories Battle of Britain, which will be the 21st and 22nd of October down at Landrake. We'll be in association with the BSMA as well, that will be helping us run it. They'll run all the meeting side of things. We'll have a big live timing screen for all the time qualifying that'll be for all the groups, plus there's all the youths. There's youth 125 250 class, big wheel and small wheel 85cc classes, 65cc class, and autos 50cc class. 3 Battle of Britain groups, A, B, and C, which you will, for instance, in time qualifying on the Saturday, if you're in the top 50 fastest, you'll be in Group A, and then so on. So wherever you do your time qualifying is irrelevant if you're in A, B, or C, because you'll end up where you are speed-wise. And then we've got the vets over 40 class, any bike as well. And the Battle of Britain groups are any bike as well. Just had a bit of news that next week I'm going to be doing a bit of a motocross stroke road racing one with famous road racer Bradley Smith. You can see my first Q&A I did with him in 2020 just there on the screen. He did BSMA schoolboy motocross back in the day as well, and then obviously went on to be a factory MotoGP rider and tester and stuff, so that'll be quite cool. I'm going to sort out a date with him for next week, so I'll let you all know on that as well. Yes, mate. How's it going, Mr. Neary? Back to back. And then I was just saying that I'm going to do Bradley Smith, the famous British road racer. He did BSMA motocross and all that before he went onto that side of things. So that'll be cool as well. Not sure who that is, but hopefully you'll click on the link. Wonder if that's Sharon. Good man, buddy. That might be Sharon, maybe. So basically, Sharon, you just have to click. I've put you either come out of the, so anyone that comes on with Facebook, you either just come out of the whole thing, click on the blue link that's in the post, then come back in the video. It gives your Facebook privacy permission to use your Facebook, so you'll look like Mr. Shells there on the screen. And then I've also put a couple of them in the comments, so whatever one you're in, if you're in the group or whatever, you should be able to see that as well. Actually, I'm just going to just realise I could put that in the page one as well. That'd be a good idea, wouldn't it? So I'll just do that as well while we're waiting a minute. So hopefully anyone that goes on that side of things, I've got the Facebook page, Facebook group, and I've put a comment with the link on all of them. So hopefully everyone will see that comes on with Facebook. And I'll just show you that as well, what it looks like when you go on there, look, before you come in. Because obviously everyone just clicks straight onto the video, which I totally get. It's just annoying with this privacy thing. See the little blue link there before you come into the video, look. You just click on there, look, I'm going live, look, and it says, please grant StreamYard permission to see your name. You just click on that blue bit, but I've also put it in the comments as well for you guys. There, look, there's a couple in there. So hopefully whoever that is can click on that, hopefully. I'm sure that might be Sharon, potentially. Yeah, it is Sharon. Hi, Sharon. Hey, how's it going? Pam and Derek, how's it going? Hope you're good. So look, starts freaking myself out, don't I, when I've had my hat on the right way for a while. My skin's falling apart. It's my first year wedding anniversary tomorrow with my Lainey Lou. I think she's just come home as well. Lainey Lou. Oh, now I can hear her. Lainey Lou. You're right. She's just come home. 1 year wedding anniversary tomorrow. 1 year. And then going on Andy Hobbs' super yacht on Saturday. Oh, buzzing. With my mum, my sister-in-law, Andy and Jill Graham, Mike Broadbank, the man, with Joe Broadbank, my buddy Kevin Wheeler and his missus, and Adam Winslet and his missus Danny. Yeah, my mum and Mick, and fingers crossed, I'm hoping Barney Kennett still going to come with his wife Lynn. Very sad news we got this week about his famous Speedway brother as well, Gordon Kennett. So big love out to the Kennett family. Condolences to them guys. Super sad news. Gordon Kennett, former world #2 in Speedway. Yeah, tragic. He ended up, I believe he had a heart attack while he was in Spain on holiday. So literally, like, he'd only just had his 70th birthday as well at the beginning of September. Super fit guy as well, still raced Speedway even last year. Hello, Mr. Scott Ashby. I like the. I was just looking then, and I thought, because my brother's on my brother's on Facebook, he's got Jamie Scott Ashby. So I double took then. And I thought, Ashby, you are the hardest working man in Richmond. Saying, keep it up. What's relative as well. Thanks, Scott. I wonder where our connection is down the line. What are we, 77th cousins, or? Looking forward to this. 1982 to I see I did get that right at the start then when I was talking about it. 1982 250 world champion Danny La Porte. Where is your beer? All I've got is Asda sparkling peach flavored water. I have got the new one as well, so I don't know why I'm using the old one here. I think the new ones are downstairs. That's got water in it because I'm watching my figure mine. Well, sort of. Thank you, buddy. Hope you're good. Nice to see another Ashby on here. I wonder what where we are connected down the line, or if we are connected. I reckon we're 77th cousins. Or 12th cousins would be nice, because I used to race number 12. Hi, Kim. How are you? Yeah, first year anniversary, eh? Hey, Simon. Mr. Sean McConnell. We got legends on already from the USA. Oh, that man was pulling wheelies in the 80s at Blunsdon, Swindon. They were the days. I was about, I think, was it about 84, 85, Sean, you were over? So I was born in 77, quick maths, I was about 8, 7, 8, but I remember it well. I think Sean was one of the only ones that was sort of doing wheelies around that time. No one really did wheelies. And I think at one point, quite early on, they actually excluded people for doing wheelies, didn't they? I don't know if that was around that time as well, Sean. Did you ever get excluded for doing wheelies? I remember there was a year, I can't remember what the year was in Speedway, in British Speedway, but they definitely did a year where they got excluded for doing wheelies. And we obviously spoke to another American recently, Rick Miller, that got excluded. He was the only rider in the race. The other 3 riders got excluded for other reasons. And then he ended up, just thought he'd entertain the fans and did wheelies for a lap. And then got excluded for not trying to race, I think they call it, is the rule. Ridiculous, isn't it? Crazy. Shoots herself in the foot, don't they, with some of these ridiculous rules. I'd rather the wheelies. Right, so hopefully Danny La Porte, a proper legend this man is, like I said, an AMA Motocross 500cc AMA Motocross champion, then went over to Europe, the 250, won the 250 1982 World Championship. I know he did Paris-Dakar in the rally with the rally driving and all the desert racing, and won loads of that as well, which I'll show you in the pictures, and we'll ask Danny, won't spoil that yet. Like I said, anyone coming on, any motocross riders out there that want to get involved in our Battle of Britain, 21st and 22nd of October next month. I think it's about 5 weeks this weekend down at the Mint venue of Landrake, which is in Saltash. It's just outside Plymouth. We're going to have like all the youth classes and adult classes. There's a £500 cash prize as well for the super final winner as well. And just to make it more difficult, we're going to have all the like A-class riders, all the fastest riders will go off the gate last and things like that. So if they want to win, they got to come through from the back. Yes, I see that, buddy. So we're going to have that as well. So not sure what that is, but hopefully you can click on this link that I put in the comments, and then I can see who you are. It's just basically a privacy thing. But I have spoke to JD. Maybe we should rock and roll for next week. What do we reckon? Let me just take that down. You can't even see me, can you? There I am. Maybe we should book it in for next week, eh? Rock and roll. Like I just said at the start of this, I'm not sure if he was on then. I'm going to do one with Bradley Smith, the famous road racer, British guy that did BSMA Schoolboy Motocross in the 90s before he went on to be a factory rider, etc. I did put a picture of it on here. I don't know if you can see that, but there you go. Bradley Smith, look. Did a Q&A with him when I first ever started this Motocross and Spear Memories back in, what's that, 2020, look, 27th of May. That's how I started, just doing Q&As on Facebook and then putting up pictures of their career with what I'd asked the questions and stuff. That's how it all started. I'm going to Bologna. Damn it, I miss it sadly, Macro. That's a shame, mate. Hope you have a good one. But so I'm thinking about John Davis potentially next week, Bradley Smith. Done a couple of motocross ones today and last night. So get some spear ones. I've been speaking to quite a few of the riders as well. Who else did I speak to? Niels Christian Everson. I'm going to do Nicky Pedersen once the season's finished. So I spoke to him again at Cardiff. Caught him in the pits. Couldn't get out of that one. Right, let me just message, see what's... I reckon that Danny's potentially having a little bit of trouble getting on, because he would have been on by now. So I just messaged Danny. Hopefully he'll... There you go, Dean. I was just holding out for you, mate. No issues at all, yeah? We was just holding out for you, Dean. I knew you was on your way. Made it in time. I didn't want to miss this one. Beautiful. Hope you're good, Dean. Lucky enough to meet Danny La Porte at Nimes. Is that Belgium, Nimes, isn't it? Donations 97 at Outdoor Bar somewhere on a Saturday night. Nice, Paul. So you met him personally as well. That's super cool. So I've just Just trying to speak to Danny now, just because he was coming on at 10 past. So hopefully he can get on. I can see him trying to come in the bottom of the screen, but it says device is not connected. So I'm hoping it's gonna sort itself out for him. I can see he's trying to come through, but I can't see anything on his screen. Oh, I think I can see him now. Don't know if you can hear me, Danny. You'll hear me once I get you in the screen. So I think I can see Danny in there now. So we won't hear you, Danny, until I bring you in my screen, but he is here, so he can hear us. I'm going to play the video now, and then I'll bring him in, and hopefully we'll all be good to go. Let's just get my little video up. Here we go then. Here we go.
You thought I was playing? Huh. I was playing? Huh.
Beautiful. Right. Hopefully Danny can hear us.
Hello, Lee?
Danny.
Yeah, hold on. Let me see if I get.
I think you've muted it now. I think, where's the... You've turned off, like, the mic. Whatever you just pressed, it turned it off. Awesome. Let me message him.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you now perfectly.
Hear me? No.
Yeah, can you hear me all right? We can hear you.
Let's see why.
I can hear you all good. I don't know if you could turn, maybe you have to turn up your volume on your PC potentially to hear me better. You might have to turn up your actual volume on your PC for yourself, hopefully. So I can hear you clearly, my end. Just message him because... I just put my phone up, Danny.
Use my phone. Okay, where's my phone? Dang it. Okay.
We're getting a tour here through the Danny La Porte tour here. We can hear you clearly, but
hey, get a tour of my house.
Yeah.
Here we are.
Danny La Porte. We're getting a tour of the house. Beautiful.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Dang, I can't believe it. Well, just use sign language. Vroom, vroom, vroom. That's easy. We all know that. Yeah, I don't know why I can't get it. Let me see. Hey, Georgia.
I'm just wondering if he can turn his volume up. If you can. Annie, let's do the look. I wrote to you. Does he see me? Oh, you gotta love it. We're just
hold on.
We're just hanging around with the legends. We're just having a proper house tour with Danny La Porte. That'll do me. Thank you very much.
I can't even find my phone. Oh, here it is.
Sorry to ring you. I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to ring him on Facebook. Let's see if that works. Let's try and ring him on Facebook. See if it works.
Okay.
Trying to ring him. Is he going to answer? Danny.
It's not that hard. I've got mute. Mute is off.
So we can hear you clear as day.
Full screen. Let's see. Volume.
Let me turn off the bliss. Right. Is it the volume on yours? I can definitely hear you clear as day. It's weird, isn't it?
Hold on. Let me. Hold on. I'm so computer lame, I guess. But let's see.
All right.
Mute. I'm turning this off, on. Volume. Everything's okay.
On and off.
Put my glasses on, maybe. Unbelievable. Audio.
Can you hear me now? 1, 2. There we go. Good morning, Danny. How's the California sunshine?
Automatic. Everything's good. Good morning, Danny. How's the California sunshine? It's great. Actually, it's the warmest time of the year about now. So, yeah.
A bit of a. We don't have that here in the UK.
Let's see. I'm still trying to. It's really funky to do this, but
let me just put is your. I can do that. Look, I'm gonna put my own comment up on the screen. Here we go. Let's see if you can see that. Keep it rolling. Oh, look at that shirt in the background there. Doesn't he see that, Danny, on the screen? Look at that shirt. It's not a bad shirt there. Danny, like the shirt. Like that. Yeah. Beautiful, that shirt in the background. Okay. Look, I'm going to say, look, we can hear you perfectly. Can't hear you now, though. It's probably muted the volume. Click on it again. Let me just, there you go. Can you hear me? Can't hear you. Just unmute the thing again. You can hear me, though.
Can you hear me now?
Yes. We're in.
Okay.
Danny, how's it going? Thank you for the tour.
Well, I can't believe it. Yeah, I'll give you since I couldn't open it on my my Apple because it told me to. I had to download Chrome and then I was trying to do that really quickly. So sorry about that. Yeah,
that's no problem at all. We're just glad that you come on. So we're super pleased that you come on. Really appreciate your time, Danny.
I'm mobile now. I can walk around.
Yeah, this is really cool.
Yeah.
We were like, oh, I'm getting the tour with Danny La Porte.
No, it's
Cool. I
funny.
saw some super cool shirts in the background. Is that your office or something?
Oh,
Is it?
yeah, that's my only place in the house I'm allowed to have motorcycle junk.
Oh yeah, I know.
The rest of it is you know,
You wouldn't even believe you rode, right? It's like that.
kind of, yeah.
Same here, same here.
Yeah,
Don't let me allow that. Yeah.
yeah. And there's my backyard and my lovely
That's
wife
beautiful.
out there sunning in the sea. And I don't know if you can see very
Well,
well.
she can see us, but yeah, I can see it. It looks nice out there. Looks a bit too hot for us in the UK there.
Yeah,
How are you then,
sometimes.
Danny?
Yeah,
How are you?
good lead. Thank you. It's really good to be able to chat with you. It'll be fun.
Pleasure's all ours. We're super pleased to get you on. It's really cool. So what you been up to lately then, Danny? I see you've got the is it an FMF t-shirt on there?
FMF t-shirt. Well, I've always got FMF. I knew Don, the owner of FMF Emler, since I was probably 12, 13. And, he's a guy that helped me out when I first started riding locally. And we've always been really close friends ever since.
Nice.
So, it's fun. Then I worked with Donnie also for almost 24 years.
Right.
When I came back from Europe, after I was done doing the rally part of my life, rallies, Donnie asked me, there's always a place for you here. So I came back went to work with Don, and it's just been a lot of fun because it's industry, right? So, I went to some events in the very beginning. We had a Honda team, Donnie, we kind of developed together. And then I realized I didn't want to be traveling every weekend again.
All over again.
I really admire guys like, I was thinking, DeCoster, for example. I mean, his whole, I think he's been traveling for 40 years. He's raced. Nearly 40 years. He's been
crazy
to every race. You have to admire. That's so amazing.
I had a little interview with him once, and because I had I've chatted to him a couple of times, and the second time we were in the team truck, and he is just on the go 24/7.
Yeah, he is. He's fully into, and I really enjoy it, but from the background.
Do you take in now much of the Supercross, the Motocross in America? Do you watch anything in Europe? Do you keep up to date
I watch I watch a little bit of everything. Of course, it's in I can't not help to watch it. I love it.
Good.
And the Supercross, I like to watch most of the races. I go to a couple in the very beginning of the year, and then that's about it. I maybe one, and in fact, the last couple of years, it's kind of been. I haven't gone at all, but I'd rather watch it on TV actually than hang out at the event itself. And it's fun once in a while to see everybody and catch up, and it's different than doing it all from. But just working all the time at FMF and working there for all the years, and it's so busy, just developing working on helping develop products and things like that. It's been a lot of fun. And, so, yeah.
Oh, you're pleased to know I did actually have an FMF pipe on my, I think it was my 96 125 Suzuki, I think it was. So I have had one of that on.
Thanks for supporting FMF.
No worries. Yeah. That's a beautiful picture. That's your, is that the Yamaha world title?
Oh,
shirt?
Yeah, it is.
That looks cool. Is that the FIM things in it there as well? And stuff like
different things. Yeah, from I think donations, and then I don't know. What was donations? Cool. Two donations from the motocross and trophy back then. It was two.
Yeah,
and then the world, and then So those are important things. They're kind of my. That's I think one of the main reasons I ever wanted to race was to eventually get to Europe and try to win a title. So
I was looking at as well. You've just you got introduced as well into the Hall of Fame and all that sort of stuff as well. That must have been a very, very proud moment for you, obviously.
Yeah, it was. It's been going on for so many years, and the Trailblazers. It's kind of an amazing event, and it was really nice. I'm really proud of that. I mean, it's a lot of the guys in the industry here in America. it's been going on for, I think, for like 75 or 80 years, the Trailblazers, you know, so you have a lot of dirt track guys and speedway riders and, you know, all the whole, everybody road race guys. So it was actually more for that than it was for dirt bike guys. I think the motocross and the desert racing guys kind of came in afterwards. So we had an era when it really got big in the 60s, you know, that locally actually like tracks at we call Ascot Park here in Los Angeles. I don't know if you ever heard of Ascot, but it's pretty cool. And when I was a kid, even before I ever rode a dirt bike, I'd go with my dad to Ascot and we'd watch, you know, dirt track, watch TT and quarter mile, half mile track and whatever Ascot is. I think maybe it's just it's a quarter mile. Yeah. Quarter mile. And then we watched everything, you know, there. So it was kind of funny.
Have you ever tried the Speedway yourself? Because I know you had like over your it was famous Costa Mesa, that sort of stuff.
Yeah, well, I rode a Speedway bike down an alley once. Ivan Major had a bike in Los Angeles. Actually, in he had a bike in the park, and literally this is 1978 or 79, and maybe somewhere around that 78, 79 in the 70s. And I guess he had some bikes, you know, he has bikes everywhere, I guess. Yeah. And at the time, and one guy was a mechanic, I think, was working on his stuff, and an Englishman. So I rode it in the park down the alley. And wow. I don't know. I believe it was his bike anyway, but maybe it's in my dreams. But
it wasn't a bad bike. It wasn't a bad bike to be on. He was, you know, one of the top men ever. So
yeah, exactly. And then I went actually to Indian Dunes, had a little track one time. I went out and did some laps on the dirt actually, and you know, it was interesting. It was fun. Yeah, I had a good time. It was fun. It's
so different, isn't it, than the motocross? So different.
Oh yeah, it's so intense. I love to watch Speedway. You know, we don't have a lot of it in America. You know, and actually, when I go to Europe in the summers, you catch a lot of the stuff going on all over Europe, you know, and on Eurosport or whatever the thing. And you, I mean, I love it because it's just high intensity, you know, 4 laps, you know, just a few laps. You're really, I think if you really love racing, it hooks you, you know, I do anyway, it does to me.
Did you know many of the American speedway riders around your career racing motocross and stuff? Did you know any of the guys like Bruce
Penhall, Bobby Schwartz? I knew obviously the best, you know.
Yeah.
And so
that's cool.
I actually, when I was racing in Europe, the World Championships, I went over to England and watched them race a couple times. I just when I had a weekend or week off, I'd run over and hang out with those guys.
Right, because my dad and uncle.
I didn't want to hang out too long with them. It's not the best influence in the world. No. They're wide open.
Yeah, literally on and off the track.
Exactly.
Exactly. They were like rock stars as well.
Amazing, great guys. I you know, known them obviously for forever, and yeah, so I had a good time watching.
Looks like Martin Neary here. He's got all the memorabilia over in the UK. Just put, "Hi Danny, my name is Martin. I saw you at Le Mans GP 2019, and we had a talk about the MX Destinations at Farley Castle. You said you would love to come over. Dave King said you could try. Are you still considering coming over? I don't know if you've seen the latest one where we go Fox Hill and."
Yeah, I know. No, I've you know. I obviously know about it and I would love to come. It was always something going on that time of the year. It's been for many years now. I'm always so busy at that time. And it was kind of hard for me. But now actually I recently quit working. So so I'm kind of now I'll probably have more time on my hands. So maybe hopefully next year.
Yeah.
Something like that. That'd be fun.
I'll get Dave King to get on the case. Paul here has just Dave King, Paul, sorry, just said, luckily enough to meet Danny La Porte at Nîmes Donations in '97, an outdoor bar somewhere on the Saturday night. So he's got a good memory as well.
Where was that in Nîmes? Nîmes, Donations, right.
That's Belgium, Belgium,
yeah. Hello. Hi, Paul.
Yeah. So you see Paul there as well. Yeah, it'd be awesome to get you over. If you come over to the UK, that'd be super cool to meet you in person. Where they have it now as well, Fox Hill and Swindon, which was a famous GP track from the 90s, etc. Yeah, that's my hometown as well, so it's perfect for me.
Yeah, that'd be really
Yeah,
fun, actually.
it would be. Yeah, I've met Ricky Johnson there, and
I do a little race in Italy. It's in November usually because that worked out, and
yeah,
to do it again. Just it's kind of it's a like a they have a 70s, 80s, 90s, and 2000 era race, and they all race modern bikes, but
yeah,
so they get all the riders and the
yeah,
different eras together.
yeah. That's the same sort of thing. It is. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Take me back to that time as well. I'm not a lover of the modern stuff, but yeah, take me back to that era, Danny, please.
Yeah. Oh, back to the 70s, 80s.
Oh yeah,
Yeah. Yeah,
yeah.
it was such a
Speedway,
great time.
Speedway, same.
It was such
Speedway,
a
the
great
same.
time because, I mean, everyone was so enthusiastic and learning, especially in America. I was just thinking about, remember growing up, I had a Stingray bicycle. It's a Schwinn. It's kind of like a pre BMX style chassis looking thing with big
Yeah,
kind of handlebars and a banana seat we called, long,
yeah. I remember
long,
that.
big,
Yeah.
little chrome kind of, I don't know, thing in the back. And so we'd heard about this guy we started doing wheelies and crossing, and we started crossing our wheel. And we didn't even know what we were doing because someone had said, "Oh yeah, you're supposed to cross the wheel in the air,"
Yeah,
And
yeah.
that was, I think,
See
like,
that.
and we called it doing a decoster. You got
Oh,
to,
did you?
yeah.
I
You're
like
like,
that.
can you do a decoster? So we'd hit a little jump and we twist the wheel in the air. Before I even knew really about motocross, I think I was
Wow.
probably 11, maybe, yeah, 10 or 11.
Here we go. Must be one of the Briggs guys. They've got such an amazing collection of bikes, Danny. They've got like all sorts of bikes. They've got Mugans from O'Mara. They've got all sorts of bikes. They got crazy things. 4P's bikes, factory bikes. Mike Brown's winning AMA bike, all sorts of. And he just put Legends Lap at 2024 Fox Hills Vets Donations. We will sort him a bike. Hashtag S Briggs commercials.
Cool. When is that? What weekend is that?
So it's at the end of August
End
every
of
year.
August.
It's
Right.
last 2 years, but it's been massive. There's sort of had the one that just done now has just had like 20 to 30,000 people there. It's
Yeah, I
crazy.
saw pictures of all the trucks, and I thought it was like from
Mm,
a world championship or
I
something.
know.
It was like, no, it's pretty
Who did
amazing.
we have? We had the Americans had obviously Mike Brown over.
Yeah, I saw Mike was there. Yeah.
Yeah, Doug DeBack was over. Mike LaRocco was over, just coming over for the weekend. There was like Lesio Shodi. Just trying to think who else come over. Tyler Bowers come over to ride in the team as well. Ryan Villapota was there hanging out, and yeah, it was so cool. Very
Yeah,
cool.
I did see pictures. Yeah, yeah. It's
Mm.
always towards the end of August.
That's it. Yeah, because they had the first one at Fox Hill last year. I met Ricky Johnson and a few of the guys that I've done interviews with, so that was amazing. Obviously, crazy to meet him
So
personally.
were you Lee? Were you a moto guy, motocross or
Mhm.
dirt? Yeah.
Yeah, so my dad and my uncle both raced Speedway in the 60s and 70s. And my uncle like rode for England, won a couple of World Cups with England, things like that. So they were well into the Speedway, and I just did motocross in the UK in the 90s. So yeah,
Right.
won a schoolboy title and things like that. So we had some good times.
That's
So
great.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. That was
So obviously loved all that in the 80s and 90s. I didn't start till the end of 80s. So it was obviously looked up to all you guys and see all the magazines from America, and yeah, very cool.
yeah, that's cool.
So, right, let's get into this then.
Yeah.
So, what year did you retire from the pro racing completely then, Danny? And
Yeah.
what was the reason at that time?
Yeah, and I completely motocross was my last race was 85, and then
Yeah.
I came back to America and I got a little itchy, and then actually it's kind of a long story. I'll go back because
Yeah.
I had such a weird. So I was in Belgium racing in 82, an 82, 83 period,
Yeah.
watching TV, and I saw this race Paris to Dakar, and in America it didn't exist at the time. I mean, I'd never seen it on TV. Maybe I've heard about it a little bit, but then I started watching it,
Yeah.
and then I go, I was watching literally in the middle of the world title thing going on in 82.
Yeah.
I was watching Dakar, and I'm
Was
going,
you?
I gotta do this one day.
Go have a go at that one day.
That looks awesome. That's kind of me to make it really, I like always set these goals and these things, it's like to come to Europe. I had that set in my mind, even from the very first year I signed with Suzuki. I was thinking about somehow, some way getting to Europe to race the world championship already when I was 19 in 76.
Wow.
Yeah. And I was, every year I would ask this, because Suzuki, we had, DeCoster and Wolsink and the Gabors and, Gaston Royer and all this, the Suzuki guys were in Europe. So they had big teams ever. And I would always ask, and they say, no, just stay in America. Don't worry about that yet. Win a championship, blah, blah. So I kept, every year I'd ask anyway, hey, do you have an opportunity? It's kind of weird. I wanted to win a title here. But then I was also already thinking, to me, it was, you have to win a world title, not a national title, right? It's like, I'm already thinking like past where I should be.
Wow, that's brilliant.
And that's kind of always, and then when my time ran out at Suzuki, actually didn't run out, I changed to Honda because DeCoster went from Suzuki to Honda. Then he came to America after his 1 year in Europe on the Honda, and he became the new team manager at Honda. And he wanted to put together a team, and he got me from Suzuki. And I said, if I can go to Europe, this is maybe another way to do it, right? Because DeCoster's always got the connections, and now Honda has European teams. So I thought, okay, I'll try to do that. So anyway, got to Honda, and then at the end of the year, we won the Nations, and I ended up, there's no available spot with Honda, and I went to Yamaha. So that was my opportunity at that point.
That's interesting, because I was going to ask you a question about that. How did it come about Europe? So that was very interesting. So you've always saw that vision, sort of had a vision where you wanted to do things already in the future, while you were still,
That's amazing. I loved racing in America. It was amazing, and I knew I had to do that, but I always just wanted to kind of feel this whole thing. My idea was you have to race in America, then race in Europe, and that's all I really cared to do. That was it. And after I kind of achieve something, I'm ready to move on. I can't imagine trying to win it. After you win something, then you got to do it again. It's like, well, I already did that. So this
is how you got into all that. So this is how you end up doing the desert racing, and obviously
exactly. I just can't. I shouldn't say bored, but I've had enough of that. I got to set a new goal. I can't just keep doing the same thing over and over. And I love that people can do that. I can't go to the same Holiday Inn every year in Ohio for the next 20 years. I just can't do that. So I had to, I just like to keep moving on and try something new. This is the way I was.
Almost seems like you were very similar. It seems like JMB, Jean-Michel Bale, was like that as well, because he literally won a couple of world titles, then come to America, won the Supercross and all that, but he wasn't there that long, and then went road racing. He sort of didn't really repeat everything too much. And,
exactly. Actually, that's true. Yeah, he had the same kind of, I think, mindset. He had to keep motivated as well. He didn't. He wasn't a repeat guy. I admire people that can do the same and repeat and keep doing it. It takes a lot of dedication, in a different way. Maybe it was my way was just to cut off and move on, and I could avoid that. But it was also, I think, just when you grow up and you watch the Europeans at the time when I grew up, that was where all the top guys were in the world, right? They were all racing, and the top guys were still there. And I think the in my mind was to have a chance to win a title like that would be,
So what sort of age were you when you first got your first bike then, Danny? And what sort of bike was it and that sort of thing, taking it back?
And so I had, my very first bike was a Hodaka 100. And then right after that, I raced like a season. I think I was 12. I could barely stand it. I was really short. And I had to, basically someone had to hold the back of the bike, right? So I or some crates or whatever. It's typical
Yeah,
story.
yeah.
There were no 80 cc's back then, or 50s or 80s, 65.
Yeah, get it.
There
Yeah,
wasn't the
yeah.
whole. Now you can just climb aboard something
Progress, yeah.
perfect size, and so everybody had to ride something that was way bigger than they should. And then I had my second bike was a Rickman Hodaka.
Okay.
And
what year was that then? So what year are we talking?
Actually, I wasn't sure if I had a Penton, but I can't remember what year that was. I think that was a little bit later. The Rickman was 71 or 72.
Okay.
I think that era,
Yeah,
that time.
yeah, yep.
And 70, maybe 70, 71, 70, 71 was a Rickman Hodaka. Then I had a Rickman Zundap. And then I went back to after that. I went back to a KTM. It was in America called Penton. It was a Penton. Yep. I had a Penton 125, and then a Penton, then a 250 KTM Penton. The Scrambler version is kind of like a yellow. I think it was a yellow tank. And then right after that, I believe I kind of almost stopped racing, and I was maybe 17, and I went to watch a race, because I was thinking, well, what's the future at that time in racing, and my parents are saying to me, at that time, you're 17 or so, and it's like, what are you going to do? My dad had a business, electrical contractor. I could go to work for him. He said, yeah, you can go to work for me. I love this. You can go to work for me. You can go to school. We'll help you go to school, or you have to move out.
Okay, so you're like,
I think he put a little pressure, but I don't think he would have ever done that. But
yeah.
But anyway, or you have to move out, right?
Yeah,
Iron in my ass.
Yeah.
So I'm like, holy shit. So I go up to there's a race, and I have to. This is so funny. I went to watch Evel Knievel jump the Grand Canyon, and in conjunction with that, there was a race. The most high paid, it was like they had $100,000 purse they paid out to 3 classes at that time. You imagine in 75, or I think maybe 74, 75.
Like crazy money then.
It was a big purse, and they, anyway. So I go watch, and I see the guys that I had been racing with locally, and Marty Smith had been just beginning to he jumped in like a year before me. He was doing the world, this is before the World Championship, I believe. Yeah. And he wins the race, and I watch, I go, God, he made $10,000 or something. I think that was what it was to win at that time. And I got so motivated. I go, I got to do it. So I ran back. I bought a Elsinore 125. I had saved money, and literally went to a local race at Saddleback, and a couple races. I did a couple races, and this guy named Kelvin Franks, he was one of the owners of CMC, the original promoters. Yep. And Kelvin was building he built these special chassis, and he put Honda motors for the 125, and he'd use a Suzuki 250 inch motor in his chassis. But it was a monoshock. It had a big oversized tubing, and it was really a cool bike because he plated the chassis kind of like the Rickman did, and it was really a stable, strong bike because the bikes back then didn't have stability, but it was really kind of ahead of its time. Anyway, I rode with Kelvin. Kelvin supplied bikes. I either blow them up or finish the top 2 or 3, right, or whatever, every weekend, and that was exactly the time. The year after Marty Smith had won his first title, and all the local Japanese manufacturers and they were all in California, decided they have to go try to beat Honda. So they pretty much, they said, where did this kid come from? It was California. So they hired a bunch of California guys. And that year, because of Kelvin, I'd get out there. Suzuki sees me winning the local events. Yeah. They hired myself, Bob Hanna, and I think Brock Glover on the Yamaha, and they hired all these like SoCal kids, and we were like kind of bunch of guys that I think because before that era, all the riders were coming from all over the country. Tony DiStefano, Steve Stackable, Jimmy Weiner was from New York. They were scattered.
Yeah.
And so I think they took notice of all the California guys because, we have the weather here to ride all year.
That's good as well.
And, that time was really fun. I could race this is great. I think this is an amazing story. So I would, Wednesday, I'd come home from school, jump in, my dad or my mom would make food, get ready. I'd go to Ascot Wednesday afternoon out of high school and go race Wednesday night. And then on Friday, I could race Friday night at Indian Dunes. So I'd be packing up stuff, racing to Indian Dunes from LA, like an hour and 10, unload, practice, race. And then on Sunday, I could race at Saddleback, Carlsbad, or again at Indian Dunes. It didn't matter. So you could literally race easily 3 days a week while I was in high school. So we were getting a lot of seat practice, time.
Race time.
Yeah, it was racing crazy. There was Ascot, Irwindale, Riverside track. I can't what that one was called. There was just one on the way to Riverside, and then there's Indian Dunes, Saddleback, Carlsbad. But the local night races was Irwindale and Ascot pretty much. And so you could race, I think 2 or 3 days a week somewhere in Southern California. And, it was great because, you literally, you never even unloaded the bikes out of the van hardly. You just raced them. The knobbies were worn out, oil the chain and race. And then, it was fun to keep the fan full of food and gear. And then I had, I had to work on my bikes as well too at the time.
So did you get into the technical side of things as well quite early then, where you obviously had to do your bikes and stuff like that and stuff?
Yeah, I think it helped a little bit. I remember building my first 2-stroke pipe myself in the garage because my dad had fitted the garage. I had welders and I had all the tools out of a wash machine. So I cut big chunks out of the side of a wash machine panels and then rolled the cones.
Did you?
It had all that. It was hard to weld because you had all that stuff on what is it called? The ceramic or the paint.
Yeah, like the white stuff.
I had like a white pipe.
That's brilliant. Proper factory then.
Yeah, it was cool. So
cool.
Pipes were expensive to replace. Low pipes would rip off the bike every time you rode. That's the Zundap. That's the Rickman.
Nice.
I think if it had a low pipe, that would have been the 125 Zundap, but I can't tell. Otherwise, the Hodaka. That's for sure the Rickman.
Nice.
Yeah.
And
that was at Saddleback. And
that track,
Saddleback had you can see there's just like this really hard packed line around. And all the tracks in California were pretty much like that. Carlsbad was concrete, just black grooves all over the track. So it was kind of funny because later on, the best tracks for me, I ended up riding better in the sand. I think
I'll ask you that. What terrain did you like the most? Yeah, so you actually ended up.
I like sand. I love sand because everything's moving, right? It's chaos, right?
Ever changing, yeah.
The bike is never going straight. The bike's always swapping. The lines are changing, and I kind of enjoyed that. That was my first season. The first time I ever rode a Suzuki for Suzuki. That was a practice day thing in Florida, and Jim Janatsis was the photographer at the time. He was working for Cycle News. He took the photo. I remember that. But it was, I don't know, it was Cocoa Beach or somewhere like that. So
that's awesome as well. Yeah. Awesome. I'd love to take pictures. I take a few pictures now, and I'd like to be there to take those sort of pictures.
Yeah, that was pretty. He's a great photographer, Janatsis. That was at San Antonio, I believe. That was the first, I think, I don't know if I won my first nationals. I don't know, but that was San Antonio for sure, because I remember having the FMF patches on my jersey. There you
go. How cool is that? You got the FMS badge on now and the FMF badge on there. That's really cool.
That's pretty cool. Was I grumpy or what was I thinking?
Yeah, got caught out with this picture.
That was my macho look.
Yeah, that was a race face.
Race face, and that was my first season as well. Saddleback at I think that was a Trans Am event, 250 support class. So
What was that bike like, Danny? What was that bike? Was that like?
that was a modified. It wasn't a full factory bike. It was production, and it had like factory forks and wheels and suspension. But basically, the chassis was standard, and so that's kind of what I rode at the very beginning. Same, actually, that's Ohio GP, and again, I think that's like that's a factory bike, I believe. That's maybe, but we were running kind of like back and forth, like the chassis, the factory chassis were different, and they were more, I don't know, they were just set up differently. And sometimes we got to test the factory bikes, but we ended up running production bikes with the factory suspension and motors and things on that. That was a fact. That was Pat Alexander, my first mechanic, and he worked for me for 5 years at Suzuki, and then Pat ended up working many years at Suzuki in different departments, but I think he worked there for nearly 40 years at Suzuki. Ended up working there and then retiring, and that was I think my second year. I don't know where that is. It looks like Saddleback.
Did you like running the number 7?
Yeah, it was okay. Some, but back then we changed, right, every year.
Yeah.
We never kept the numbers depending on what it was. Like that GP, that one was the GP. That was Wolfsink and then DeCoster. And this race, I had ended up getting by Roger, believe it or not. And Wolfsink ends up winning. And then on the last lap, before the finish line, you had this hill. My countershaft sprocket broke, and I had to push. I'll never forget. I had to push my bike like 100 yards to get to the finish, or maybe 50 yards to get to the finish line. That would have been one of my best finishes ever, But it was really hard. Here this is my first time you're battling with these guys you read about.
Yeah.
And psychologically, it's you think, should I be here? Am I supposed to be here? But then you realize, oh yeah, okay, I can beat these guys, right?
Wow.
So, yeah, it was.
That must have been surreal, yeah.
Yeah, and the motors were long, and 40. There were 40 plus 2 laps, right? So 45 minutes. That was San Antonio, I believe.
Yeah.
That was Hangtown. That was my first national win was at Hangtown.
I like that. It says LaPorte takes the cake, Hannah puts on the icing.
Oh, yeah, no, actually, that wasn't Hangtown. I'm sorry. LaPorte takes the cake. I think that was. I don't remember where that was, but
that's cool. That is cool.
I don't know what that meant either. LaPorte takes the cake. I must have won the race, but Hannah won the championship or something.
So who were your when you were a youngster, Danny, and you're obviously coming onto the motorcycle scene? Who were your heroes and idols at that time then? When you were
at what you mean in the beginning of my
yeah.
I really, I think I kind of always kind of looked up to the European guys a little bit, watching them race because really in that era those were the top guys still, right? They were still the guys to beat. So I kind of looked at, all the European guys, I liked all their styles and all of them, from even, Adolf Wheel and Ben Auberg and Torsten Hallman, Joel Robert, DeCoster, right? All these guys, I think, Everts, I just, when you go to the races, you see these guys, they're like superstars. I was literally 10, 11 or 12 when I watched the first time I ever went to a Trans Am in America and got to see the Europeans. So, when you're 11 and they're only probably 21 or 22 at the time. I'm maybe 12. So, they're young, but those look like old guys to you, you know. And they're like, man, these guys are badass, you know. And I mean, it was just really, so you're impressed by that, you know, and you see where you want to be in a day. Yeah, that was the year before I won the 500 title. That was that was the year I won the 500 title. Yeah.
Did you have a preference on the bikes, Danny? Like, obviously, you rode 500, the 250, 125. Was there one of those that you preferred than the other, or did you get on with one of those better than the others?
I I really enjoy riding 125s because I mean it's kind of like an art, right? I mean,
Yeah,
you just
yeah,
had to keep the bikes. You could just fly in the turns, go so deep, never shut off, and you had to work you had to work it
yeah,
to the max, you know. And it was just so much fun. 125, they're so lightweight, you could throw them around. You get away with so many different things. I think on the 125, they're really fun to ride. But then one time in Florida, I got on a 500 and I was like, holy smokes, factory 500. And it was at a Florida series event at the beginning of the year, most at that era, 76, 77, 78. We all went to Florida to do the Florida series. It's kind of like a warm-up series at the beginning of the year. And I rode, I think it was one track there. I can't remember, Cocoa Beach or something like that. Maybe not Gainesville. Can't remember, but I pinned the 500. I was trying to ride like a 125, and I crashed and KO'd myself. I had to learn the hard way, but I love the speed of the power. Yeah. And
I
that
got,
was
yeah.
the sheer
I got,
power. Although, you know, at the end of the day, probably is faster on a 125, right? But you know, the same track could, you know what I mean? A lot of times if 127 was just as fast, but it's just the impression, trying to hold on to a big bike was kind of fun.
That's crazy. There's a Speedway legend there, Sean McConnell, American. He come on quite early and said Danny was inducted into the Trailblazers Hall of Fame, which obviously I had ready to go. So it's cool. He come on as well, and I did an interview with Sean. He was come over to the UK as well. Martin's just put, during your World Championship time in Europe, how hard was it with the riders like Dave Watson, Jackie Martin, Joe Bay, Keith Van der Ven, Neil Hudson, etc.?
Yeah, those are all the guys. Yeah. I mean, it's really funny when you ride the world. I noticed when you race the world championships, because the tracks are all so different. You know, in America, we go to the tracks and they're kind of similar in a way, how they prep the tracks, you know, the certain style, a lot of man-made type of jumps. And in the beginning of my era, there were less man-made jumps, obviously, compared to now. But I think in Europe, it was the riders I noticed were better on some tracks than others, right? So you go to Italy, for example, and then, or no, Switzerland. I was in Switzerland, and I remember going out and trying to qualify, and then like Watson was really fast. This is a good example. Switzerland, and I literally I couldn't even get in the top 15 in qualifying. I was like, "Are you kidding?" Like I went out and did like 4 or 5 laps and come back in, and Hickey Mikkola runs in. So, you got to go back out there. You got to get your speed up, right? And I'm like, you know, so it's really some of the tracks. All of a sudden, there's a bunch of guys, like the Italian guys are fast in Switzerland or on the hard in Italy. There's all of a sudden now you're in Italy and there's 10 Italians you had no idea they could be that fast. You know what I mean? So
I get what you're saying, yeah.
And track in Belgium, and it was all, you know, the Belgium guys, the Case or the Dutch Case and Case van der Ven and Jobé, and you know they were, so it really would switch a lot. You go from one country to another. Yeah.
That's interesting because when I spoke to Dave Thorpe, he said to me that when he come to the UK to race the British Championship again, he'd have all these guys were like all over him, super competitive. But then when he went to the GPs, those guys couldn't raise their game, and then he would be streets ahead of them. But when he come back to the UK, they were comfortable in the UK, and those British Championship guys would like. So it's the same sort of thing, like, you know, when they're in their certain territories.
Well, the Italians, when they left, they didn't have their pasta. They weren't. They were homesick. They missed the pasta. But you know, yeah. So I think that's definitely true. That's definitely true. Yeah, absolutely. Especially that. I think today it's a little bit different. You know, it's changed. because riders in the different countries, for example, long time, like in France, I knew they had regulations. They wouldn't even build double jumps because of the federations or the local tracks wouldn't even allow guys to ride with double jumps on the track because they were afraid to get hurt because they had social medicine. So if guys are getting hurt, all that it's it's a different system. You have to when you build a track, and in America, you can build anything you want. It's not regulated by anybody. And which is kind of negative too. It can be dangerous for the young guys, going out and trying to do their first triple jump, and it's kind of wacky a little bit. But in Europe, it took a long time before I think they started allowing even tracks to have jumps. They would complain about it, but so it was harder for the Europeans to adapt to. Well, maybe even if when they came to America to race, and they come to a really jumpy track, it was tough. Yeah, exactly.
So when you won because you won the 500 cc AMA, did you get on well with that bike and the 500? And what was that like going from the 500 to go to the 250 to go to Europe? What was that like?
Well, I rode, because I had to go. Yeah, I was riding the 500 Honda in '81, and then, but I like the 250 just as well. In fact, I got to like it really, really well, actually, racing at that era. So the Yamaha, when I raced from the 500 to the 250, I kind of felt like, so I went to the 500 because I liked the power and it was a different technique. The lines you took were different. So it was a different thing. But then when I went back to 250, I really enjoyed that a lot because I could realize that you could get away with more with it. You could jump out of, and the Yamaha was still air cooled. Everybody else were going to water cooled bike, but Yamaha was still air cooled. But that air cooled bike is so light. It doesn't push into the turns. You don't have all the radiators in the water and all that stuff up front, up high. Everything, even today, all that stuff's up. It's a lot more weight. The old that factory Yamaha is so light. It was so. Actually, that wasn't. I don't know who that is.
It's not you.
Me. But
wrong one.
There we go.
Let's try again. Here we go.
My air cooled bike. Yeah, and it was so simple. Then that was the next year when they went water cooled, and I really like changing to the 250. It suited me really well. But then I think I was itching to go back to the 500 after this. So yeah, that was in '83 after my first year, and that was
those Yamahas all good, Danny. Was there both those years the bikes really good?
Yeah, they were excellent. I love the way they turned. I mean, these bikes turn so well. Kind of, you always think about how you get the bike set up the way you like them, and it took me. I don't think there were many bikes after that I rode, even modern bikes, that I felt like I could turn them very well. It's kind of weird, but these bikes were amazing, and they turned. Actually, in '83, I was just looking at this. I should never have won in '81 too. The world champion. I didn't think I deserved to win in '82. I deserved to win in '83, but I blew up a couple motos. I lost 2 heats in France, so I was out 50 points. You're not going to win anything 50 points out when you have guys like Bay and Kenny Gardner and Case Vanderven and all these guys. So you gotta, anyway. So that was kind of funny. That was at Unadilla.
Bit of grass around.
Yeah. Yeah, that was Unadilla, and that was Brian Myerscough, Jobé on the inside of him, and then who's 21? Can't remember. But there's David Bailey must have been in the lead already. Bailey rode. He was gone. He was in front of us. Bailey
was he? He was already gone.
Yeah, Myerscough didn't get the whole shot.
Yeah.
I remember. Bailey was
gone then. He was gone.
And that was quite an era too. I think when Honda started in '83, really They built some 83, 84, 85, 86, 87. All those Hondas they built were amazing bikes. And this, again, I can't remember where that's at. That's in, maybe it's Unadilla. Yeah, because I wore that old JT jersey because I think it's Unadilla. Because of the rocks.
Oh, right, yeah, the old... What about what did you like riding in the UK? Because I think I got a picture of you at I think that's Hawkstone. Yeah, Hawkstone.
I love Hawkstone. Yeah, that was yeah. I wish we could have Hawkstone every weekend. Actually, that's the kind of track I like. You know, you had variations. You had hard sand hills. You know, it was a great track, and yeah. So I think I won 1 year and got second the other year. But that was a beautiful track. And was that Joe Bay who figured out how to jump the pit?
Yeah. But there's
on a 500. Must have been on a 500, probably.
It was an iconic picture. This still goes around now with him jump. I can't remember who he jumped over the top of now, but I'm sure they'll tell me in the comments. But yes. Oh, my buddy here, Ben Rumbold, just said that was Jackie Vimond I just showed a picture of.
Oh, that was probably.
Sorry about that. But
one,
yeah, he's just.
Oh yeah.
I've just seen him come on as well because I've got a story with my friend Ben here. He's put, man, he loves that shirt. We both done the commentary together for the British Championship, even at Hawkstone this year. Me and Ben were together doing the commentary for the British Championship at Hawkstone. It was cool, very cool at Hawkstone. We saw the picture on the wall of Joe Bay jumping over. Yeah. But, so he's just put here, I've got to say hi to Danny. He succeeded my uncle, who is his uncle's Neil Hudson.
Yeah.
In the Yamaha team as world champion. And Danny, your replies to me last year when I did my 1980s feature in the TMX paper were amazing. Thanks for the Joe Bay story too.
All right, so, you're welcome.
That's Ben there, that you spoke to.
Thank you, Ben. Thanks. That's cool.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah. Funny stories.
He's just put it there. Martin's mentioned it as well. What did you think of the Hawkstone Park back when you rode? You've already just mentioned that, especially the famous double jump and the world famous Hawkstone steep hill. Raced there in '87 schoolboys champions. I was always remember jumping into the sandpit blind on my KX100 bike. The suspension would completely bottom out in the deep sand. Great track.
Yeah. No, I love the track because it was like it had, it had hill section, which was hard pack. And then you had it was a hard track to get some rhythm in, it wasn't that easy.
Yeah.
And I think I kind of like that. I don't know why. It's kind of, but I think I love the, tracks that were like that a little bit kind of different, but I don't know. I think mainly 80% of the track is actually sand, I think. And I think that's why I enjoyed it so much.
Yeah, it's a little bit harder these days, Danny. It's sort of got a little bit harder. It's not quite as deep as it was back then, but it's still the same. It's just it's a little bit hard. Oh, they've all said that that was it. He jumped over Andre Malherbe.
That was over Malherbe.
I knew they'd come out with it.
That was
I knew Ben and Martin didn't know.
Yeah, I figured he did that. A 250 would have been, I don't know, pretty tough to do that.
Yeah. What bike was that on as well, boys? I'm sure they'll know. Was it 500 or 250? I'm sure.
Yeah, it would have been a 500.
I think it would have been a 500, yeah. Got Randy Scott here. He's just put, Danny was always the most professional, approachable riders to my memory. I will forever have a place in the world of MX as one of the best to compete.
Thanks, Randy. That's
nice.
A compliment.
And Martin's also says he's got that race as well on a DVD, and he's also got Pyern, the track in Swiss GP. Yeah, he's got the race.
I've never seen any of those.
All right, I'll get him to send them to you.
Yeah, because a lot of they don't. I've never seen them on YouTube or anything like that because you kind of go back and have to be honest. I go back and try to find stuff like that, memories.
Yeah. Martin's got loads of all that stuff. He's got loads of DVDs and of all the coverage. That's cool. Oh, so he was on a KX 500 Joe Bay when he did the jump.
Yeah. That was pretty impressive, though.
It was.
Because
It's massive.
I mean, you can't miss. You have to clear it. Because
Or
looking
you're
at
in big
the
trouble.
inside would be like a wall, right? You'd be like coming down in a straight wall if you're short.
Yeah.
It wasn't no downside to the landing.
No,
Yeah.
slightly big balls when he did that.
Yeah.
One of those when it was like pretty much a shit or bust type of jump,
Yeah.
that one. But he come off for him, and it's still an iconic picture now, so it worked out for him. Where did the nickname Danny the Door come from, Rob Matthews?
I think, because some American figured out that LaPorte the door, right?
Okay, yeah. I mean, yeah.
So somebody finally figured out they're French or something. I don't know. Yeah, that's what it was. It's just in English. So yeah, I'm far from being I mean my relatives came over 50 years ago. So hello,
Not sure.
are you there?
Not sure. Yeah,
Lost
I
you for
can
a
hear you.
second.
It's just frozen just a
You're back.
second, but I can hear you. Okay. He just put. I'm not sure who
Hold
that
on.
is. He's put. Woohoo,
Woo!
Danny the Door. Have you asked my question yet? So I'm not sure what your question is, whoever that is. So come back to me on that.
Oh,
He's put. Woohoo, Danny the Door.
yeah, the door. Yeah, just LaPorte, so they called me the door.
Martin also said Gabor's came up short and damaged his knee trying to do that. Trying to do the same jump.
I know. I mean, it's gnarly. That I can remember. Back then they were even talking about who's going to do that one day. Yeah.
Right. So that was Ben that you've spoke to before that said woohoo. So he's registered his thing, so I can see his face now. So he's put, Danny, I would love to hear you tell the story about Jobei in the Soviet Union with the army outfit.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
This is awesome, actually. So I was in the parking lot in outside the hotel, and they had guards at the time. You had military all around. You couldn't leave the hotel. It was a tourist hotel, and I saw a soldier over the corner behind the trucks, race trucks, and he's kind of alone, standing there. I kind of always wanted to chat a little bit, so I walked up to him, and we're chatting a little bit, and then he didn't speak a word of English, nothing. Just we were just kind of like like that.
Sign language, like we were at the start of this.
Yeah, exactly. So, but I saw he had a Russian belt. It was like a hammer and sickle, brass, kind of a rectangular square thing with a hammer and sickle. And I pointed to it, and I go, and then I showed him, I had some money in my pocket. So I pull out $100, and his eyes got huge, right? I mean, $100 is massive, right?
Yeah.
So for him at that time, so he's literally he points to his phone, and like at this time here, come back here at this time, easy to figure out, right? Yeah. I'll bring you the belt. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So I come back. He not only brings me the belt, he brings me a complete uniform. Right.
Oh, nice.
That was really cool. So anyway, I walk into the hotel, and I see George Jobei, and the night before the event, they have all these local dignitaries, military people coming. They have a big giant sit down, really well done, beautiful dinner thing, and so anyway, George goes, Danny, you got to put the suit on and wear it to the party. I go, are you effing out of your mind? I'm American. What an insult. I said, he goes, give it to me. I'll do it. I'm all, are you kidding? I said, okay, I'll give it to you, but don't say where you got the uniform from.
Yeah.
So I swear, no joke. Everyone's cocktail time. They're having drinks. There's uniform, brass, Russian people. George comes walking down the stairs, brass and marble stairway down to the bottom landing area. And George does this march, kind of walks in, and I'm just going, oh my God. So I was laughing.
It's nothing to do with me. It's nothing to do with me.
George, and right away, all the locals see he was, what was going on, and they grabbed him. They took everything off of him. And they first say, where did you get the suit from? And he turns and points at me.
No, he didn't. No, he didn't. He hung you out to dry. Oh, my God.
Don't do this, Georgie. Okay, right. So anyway, I think now I'm going to jail. I'm going to miss the start of the GP the next day. It was really, anyway. So they take it. They take the uniform, one of the guys comes over to me and says, "Where did you get it? How did you get this?" And I said, "Oh," right away, I spun it. God, in America, we trade, we do this. This is what we do. We love Russia so much. I've had other Russians I've given suits. So I never was in the army. I said, "Yeah, I gave him my uniform." Like, and oh, really? Like the guy was confused almost. So anyway, I kept telling him, I said, "We love Russia in America." And I kind of had to, right? I kind of like figured so anyway, he was kind of confused and said, "No, but we do. This is a typical thing. We trade, we buy things, and trade." And it's like, okay. So anyway, I sit down at the table. I had to sit across from this guy at dinner. I was like nervous the whole night long. Right? Sit down across the table. So I sat down literally straight across from the guy that was responsible for the whole thing. And then at the end of the night is really funny. He goes, "Hey, Danny." So I had to drink with him. He made me drink a shot of vodka. I never drank at that point in my life, hardly ever, especially the night before. So he made me drink a shot of vodka with him. So I figured things were warming up.
Yeah. He's warming to you, yeah.
So he goes, "Do you want to go to your hotel? I want to give you something." So we go back to my room. This is kind of, and literally, he brought out a bunch of little trinkets out of his bag, like things to give to me. Really? This is like like the guy's got stars all over his, and he started giving me little wooden dolls, things you take apart and it gets smaller and smaller. Smaller and smaller. And he gave me those, and I started giving him JT jerseys and shirts and JT hats, and he was like so stoked. Then he gave me the brass belt from that I originally wanted, the brass belt.
Oh, I got it back. I give it back.
But anyway, I have to say that I still have the belt, and George really got me a good one. He got me.
That's a brilliant call. He stitched you right up. Wow, he stitched you right up.
Yeah, it's really funny too. When you checked into, people don't even realize that in that era, still, every floor of the hotel, you had somebody sitting on the floor to make sure you had to go to your room. You couldn't be out. They had to check around. Go in and go out. There was somebody taking record of everything you did. It's kind of funny.
Proper military, wasn't it?
Yeah. So.
Oh, that's brilliant.
Yeah. I almost did a race the next day.
That's a good one. I like that. That was good. Thanks for that as well, Ben, mentioning that as well. He's put, "Danny, please describe the feeling of becoming world champion and the prestige, and how did you and your mechanic celebrate?"
Yeah. Larzi Saxon was my mechanic, a Swedish guy, and great mechanic, great guy, perfect for me. And that's why we won. And so in Vimmerby, it was Vimmerby, and obviously there's alcohol involved, so you can imagine. But it was really funny. We were, everyone, Torsten Hallman was there, he showed up, and it was really cool. And Heikki, obviously, and these guys that I looked up to as a kid, right? So to me, it was like I had to pinch myself. I almost thought that was like kind of like a dream, really, and it was really hard because your whole life, winning a world title, and then boom, you do it. And having the people around me, Jobe and Kindergarten, all the guys, we had so much fun. I have to say that in Europe, the guys they compete against each other, but at night it used to be that way. Everyone got along pretty well, and they respect each other. And George and I, we were just having a great time, hanging out, hugging each other. We were doing push-up competitions. we're drunk. We're doing this silliest stuff, but it was a great memory, and until it wasn't a memory.
Yes. What? How did you get into involved with JT? Because obviously over in the UK we still love it now. JT racing was super cool. How did you get involved with those guys?
Actually, when you're Southern California guy, sponsored, JT, John Gregory, and Rita, who started the the owners and originated the company, started, I think in 73 or 4, they were building socks, or 75, maybe they started making socks. But anyway, after my first season, they started to make more. They were making gloves, and they made, then they started making pants and then jerseys, and right away it all came together. And after my first year, I just kind of went towards I started racing for JT, and there was still some leftover, over sponsors I had, but then eventually, they even made boots, they made everything, and then helmets, boots. So John's dream was to make complete everything from head to toe. And I mean, they were super nice people, and John showed up at all the races, and he'd show up with all the gear, and it was like a family, actually. John and Rita together were a team, and then he had a couple daughters that were always also with them, and so they were really great. They loved the sport, and it was fun. They always got the riders involved in designing and ideas, and so it was really a great time. And so I ended up to become pretty loyal to that brand, and so yeah, it's I love the. I mean, they were they were really innovative. I mean, the look, the helmets that they created, actually, that was really cool helmet. I think the integrated visor, and they were kind of the first the visor was actually integrated into the helmet design, and then the chest protector was really smart. How they built the complete V2000. It was a little hard to ride with because it was a little stiff. Some people couldn't ride with it, but so he was trying to get me to ride with it all the time, and I had a little some tracks where you didn't have to move your body a lot. It was okay, but then sometimes when you really have to wiggle your body and move, it kind of interfered with the movement a little bit. But it seemed like it worked as for protection quite well.
I was just looking as well, because I know that I had when I was growing up, I got a second-hand JT arm, and I'm just trying to look. Just found it. I had a pink JT arm up there.
Yeah, nice. Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah,
very cool.
Someone made a puzzle, and yeah.
That was like 19. That was 91 or 2 or something.
Yeah, this was 92 or 93. I think that was. Yeah,
Yeah.
So that was.
And it's kind of a bummer. It's gone. The brand, now it's kind of somebody's got it. I don't know what I can still see that people come up with the gear somewhere.
Yeah, because that was the last sort of looking kit they had, wasn't it? I know when.
Yeah, and then a guy had found the brand again, dug it out of someone had bought the brand from JT, and they had the rights to the motocross gear, and they kind of shelved it. And then this guy dug it up, and David Dre, and he tried to resurrect it, and he was really super motivated. He was really optimistic. He loved the brand. He was really getting everybody together, and he was doing some really good things. And then it just kind of all kind of fell apart, but it would have been a good time back then to bring the brand back, but now I think it would be harder and harder all the time.
They always had a cool, like I've just showed you that one with the JT in the magazines, where you guys were always in the magazines. There's another cool one.
Yeah. Yeah. That was John and Rita. They had their own studio. They really got into the photography, and they had a pretty good art guy, and he was a good photographer. So they were just trying something new. And so it's kind of.
This is definitely new.
The camo gear.
Can't even see it there. Can't even see it there, Danny.
Yeah, I'm hiding. Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
That was great. I think I've got a picture as well. I'll have to send it to you. I've got a picture of you in that. It's sort of like coming out of the reeds or something where you.
Yeah, right. That was right by their shop where they manufactured out. And they used to play, because they got into paintball. So I think that's where the camera thing came to.
Yeah. That makes sense.
Yeah, and I'll never forget my first time. They got me to play because they had all these guys already playing paintball wars.
Yeah,
and I'll never forget playing with Marty Tripes. We played, and he was really into it. And yeah, so
That's cool. That was
yeah,
brilliant.
it was fun. Yeah.
There you go. Have you still got that cape, Danny?
That was funny. That was another. That was PJ. PJ won. Yeah,
Yeah,
that
that's cool. That is.
was their thing.
That's
Yeah,
cool.
that was funny.
Flies with PJ1. Love that.
Yeah.
Should have wore that on the bike.
Yeah,
We've got,
that was pretty funny. Funny ad. That was fun.
we've got a nice picture
I
of
don't know
you.
if you read all the print, it's kind of funny.
Yeah.
It's
Is
kind
it?
of
I'll
funny.
have
Yeah.
to try and zoom in on that one on my phone
Yeah,
and have a look as well. Here's
that,
another cool one. It's another
that
cool one,
yeah,
JT.
a JT ad. Yeah.
Is that pretty much the shirt that's pretty much behind you and gathering, is it?
Yeah, that was the same. That was the same one. Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, he made
That
all
is
the
very nice.
count all the stripes. Sometimes there's more or less. He
Love it, love
changed
it.
it a couple times. Yeah. But
So I've got a couple of cool pictures of you, Roger Costa. Did you always get on with Roger? Obviously, it was like you said, it was a bit surreal for you to race him, and then all of a sudden be trading plastic with him at next minute.
yeah, no, I, you know, yeah, we get along really great. You know, you don't see people. He's so busy working and traveling still, and he's really busy. He loves to work and he loves what so it's kind of hard to catch up sometimes. But when I see him, it's real fun, you know, to talk with him. Yeah, it's pretty funny. Yeah, it's pretty fun. That was a Carlsbad, I believe. Yeah, that was Carlsbad. Look at the
Nice.
cars. That was in this definitely in the
Yeah.
70s.
Is that like a sort of a caravan or a pickup
Yeah,
truck as well?
yeah, it was a pickup truck with a camper on the back.
Ah, yeah.
Yeah, we still do that in America. They still have those.
Yeah, I like them.
You buy a camper and you put them on the back of a Tesla. No, or back of a Tesla. And then that was kind of a guy built a replica bike. You know, so I did ride in '84.
Yeah.
I rode a bike that was modified, kind of like this one. It doesn't have factory forks, but I think they just did that. That was Diamond Dawn event. Diamond Dawn has this event, and it was a kind of a retro, you know, vintage bike race in Texas.
And obviously, I know you guys were you were legends anyway. But did you like being on the front of the magazines? Was that always cool? I know sponsors is cool as well, obviously, but just for yourself and Daniel, was that cool to see yourself on front of magazines? Pretty.
Yeah, it is. I mean, it's really it's nice. I have to be honest, you know, for sure. I mean, you kind of like, you know, you work hard at what you do, and to get there, it's kind of like gives you a little pat on the back, I guess, and it's fun. I think we all like to see each other. All racers like to see their picture, and you know, out there.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and for me it was neat. That was in Southwick. I think that was Southwick or New Orleans or somewhere. I don't know where that was, but it looks kind of like Southwick. But yeah, it's you know, kind of like it says what you know, kind of what you've done, you know, what you've accomplished.
Yeah.
It's great. It's great. It really is awesome.
Every
Every photo you get it's nice.
Yeah, I even like all these as well because they even used to do them in the Speedway as well. I'll show you in a second after I show you yours. Where all these guys do all these cartoon ones and that. They're really cool stickers.
Yeah, these are great.
Like
yeah, these are really nice. That
it's very cool. That is. I love the JT and all that as well. That's always
that's
cool. Yeah, I'll show you this one I've got of my dad at Speedway. They used to do like the cartoony ones.
Nice. David Ashby.
So I got it made into a mouse mat.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it was cool.
That's very nice.
Yeah, I've got the stickers and stuff like that of it somewhere. That was from the 70s as well, but I love to keep all them sorts of things. So obviously when you moved into what was that decision then? So how did that come about to go on to the desert racing and all that? Because obviously it's a big thing to go and do.
Yeah. It's really funny because I was kind of in 82, 83 when I rode the 250 class. And then 80, you know, what happened was pretty big thing for Yamaha, they literally were having financial struggles at that time.
Yeah.
And they had to, that's why, remember in America, they had the production rule came in.
Right, yeah.
Because Yamaha couldn't afford, and some of the other manufacturers even couldn't afford to keep up building. Yamaha couldn't keep building and spending as much money as they were. They weren't selling, bikes were filling up the warehouses. They weren't selling bikes. All of a sudden it just stopped. Honda won the war. They could keep building bikes and then shovel them into the furnace after, if they, they wanted, but Yamaha had to build, sell motorcycles. It's kind of like a production battle going on, but the market stopped buying the bikes. It was like I think 83, 84 era. And so Yamaha had a financial problem. They said, we have to continue to pay you, but we don't have a spot for you in the 250 class.
Wow.
So, and then they had built a few bikes only, and Carlquist had those bikes.
Yeah.
And actually, it was a private team, Lumaka, that Yamaha, that Hoken had found a sponsorship deal. So Yamaha gave Hoken the bikes, and so he had enough bikes for 2 riders. He ended up with Leif Pearson on a private type factory thing. And then I was kind of stuck out with nothing. They basically, we'll send you production bikes. And I said, it's hard to compete against these factory Hondas on a production bike. So I gave it a shot for a while in the 500 class on a modified Yamaha, kind of like they were all running in the States with these bikes. They were factory cylinder, factory shock, and forks, and a few other components. And so I rode that bike in the 500 class. But then you had the Kawasaki's were insane at the time. The Hondas were unbelievable by 84, and so the Yamaha just wasn't near. It was definitely tough, and to compete against at that level with that bike. So I hurt myself. I hurt my wrist. So I kind of pulled out at that time. So, and then, so then I actually went back, then I quit. I went back to America, and then Mark Blackwell, he knew I had nothing going on, and he says, "Hey, Husqvarna is gonna put together this deal. They're gonna try to come back in racing. Would you help them develop bikes and blah blah blah?" I go, "Sure, why not? I'm not doing anything." So I had a contract with them to develop bikes and do some racing, and I did some testing and I rode some testing. I was going back and forth between Sweden and the U.S. testing bikes, and then I jumped into some international races in Europe. I did some GPs, and I did some national Supercross. I did some Mickey Diamond, and I did some Supercross races, and so and then in Colorado before a national, one of the first nationals, I was play riding, going down this mountain, and then there's this uphill, a cut in the side of a mountain, a track, a road. I was going down and jumping over a highway and then landing up on this mountainside, right? Stupid stuff.
Yeah.
And Mickey was great jumping, and we're always like a competition. So I'm like downhill, cross this canyon, and then we jump over, cars were going along the side of the hill type of thing, right?
Yeah.
And I hit neutral.
Oh, no.
So I went from 4th gear to neutral somehow, and just missed a gear and went over the bars, and I piled in the side of the hill, and I broke my femur.
Wow. And
I blew my femur. So anyway, that was kind of the end right there. I mean, it kind of, okay, I was over it. And then it took me a couple of years. I started hanging out. I was in Los Angeles and play riding a little bit and got back in shape a little bit. And then Mark Johnson at Kawasaki said, "Hey, Danny, what are you up to? You want to try racing the 1,000?" And so actually about that time, I had done my first race in Morocco on a motorcycle, a rally. And then I started racing for Kawasaki on doing the Baja 1000, the Baja 500. And I teamed up with Larry Rossler and then other riders. There were Paul Krause and Ted Honeycutt. We had a couple other team members, but then, so I ended up doing a lot of like my motocross experience kind of helped develop suspension and the motor, and we really made progress. And we ended up winning 3 years in a row, the 1,000, 3 years, the 500. So that's when I was also planning to race in Dakar. I needed experience to race desert racing because the only guy I knew I knew that I have a chance to get in a rally was Jean-Claude Olivier, the president of Yamaha France, which I think you know, who passed away not long back. And so I would call Jean-Claude, and every time I won the 1,000, I'd say to him, "Hey, look, I won the 1,000. Is there a spot for me on a team, to race the rallies?" No, any rallies for motocrossers are too dangerous. No. Go get some more experience. So I'd go race again. And what happened is that Jean-Claude, after Andre Malherbe had crashed, he'd never wanted to hire another motocrosser to ever race in a rally. And I didn't blame him because, motocrossers don't, have the experience to, that's a pretty crazy photo. So, that was really funny. No one wanted I said, these guys were really friendly, actually. I don't know. They were probably to bomb somebody.
Yeah, I can see a few
rocket launchers, Russian rocket
launchers. You were just in.
But they stopped. Actually, these guys stopped us. They wouldn't let the rally go through. They were the first guys there. And they were all like being really kind of like hardline, and then they kind of warmed up. And so I kind of broke the ice and started joking with them, and then they were fine. They weren't after us. They had their other guys they hated. They were somewhere down the road. So anyway, so I kept calling Jean-Claude, and finally he goes, "Okay, I got a spot for you, but don't let me down." It's like, you be careful out there. I've already had a bad experience with one guy. And so after the third year winning, he finally was really great that he gave me the opportunity to do it. And so I got over there, and my first race was in Egypt, and I think I blew by like a checkpoint. I didn't even understand what a checkpoint was in the desert. I blew by him. I got more penalties than anybody in history in the rallies. What are those things? Just go for it, right?
Yeah, so in the deep end, then,
you actually got to go through this zone to get, checkpoint. You can't blow by them. Oh, okay. So you should have told me that before the start. So I thought it was the first guy just got to the finish that day, right? It's like Baja style. But anyway, then the first Dakar, that was a Pharaoh's rally in Egypt. And the first Dakar rally in Agadez on about the 9th day after the first day off, I crashed, and I had a lung contusion, heart contusion. I split my sternum. Luckily the French medics got to me, and they put a stent in the side of my lungs so I could drain the blood out of my lungs were filling up. And so I literally was lucky.
Crazy.
Lucky. In time, the helicopter landed. Someone had sent off my distress signal, and then my wife was in Paris, in France, leaving Val d'Isère. She was heard on the story on the radio that I had crashed, and
scary.
Yeah, scary stuff. So, but anyway, I was actually, my brain swole, so I don't remember anything I was in an induced coma, and so I don't want to sound dreary or anything, but literally, out of that, after a month of my life was just kind of completely just had no idea. I don't remember anything about the race. Yeah. So I can remember I after about a month, I was starting to feel better. I'm never going to do this again. I'm never going to race. This is over. I have my kids, I have beautiful kids and a wife. What am I doing this? I don't need to do this. Why am I doing this? I kept saying to myself, I don't need to. But it's the whole thing, it's racing. It's in your blood. You got to go out and try it right again. So luckily my wife is never, ever, ever said anything negative about me racing, ever, not one word.
Wow. So she's
supported me 100%. She never pushed me, but she never said anything negative ever. She whatever I wanted to do. Anyway, I was lucky.
keeper.
6 months later, I'm starting to get the itch again, right?
Yeah.
And then
no.
Yeah. And then it's funny how all the pain and things just go away because you got to get back out there and ride again. It's just an amazing thing. Motorcycles can get in your skin, get in your blood.
I've just seen a picture that I was just looking at my questions and stuff, and something come up on my Facebook. Jim Brookman's just sent me a picture because obviously he knows I'm doing this for you. He's put, "Hi Lee, me and my JT kit from Farley Vets last weekend," and he's just sent me that with his
oh, nice.
JT helmet.
I have the same outfit.
Nice. Very
yeah,
cool.
no, that's cool. Yeah, that's cool. Awesome, nice style there.
Thanks for that, Jim. I love those full face JT helmets as well. A few of my buddies have got some as well. He's got loads of cool stuff to do with JT.
Yeah, I've got some. I've got about 4 of them still. The originals downstairs. Yeah.
Yeah, I was trying to find it as well, but who's just some? I just got Rod Saunders here. He just put, "What's up, Lee? Just wanted to say hi to Danny. We grew up together. My dad used to work with his dad, an electrician. Just wanted to say hi."
Hi, Rod. How you doing? Of course. How's it been? Yeah, good.
That's cool.
Good. Thanks for checking in. Thanks for listening to all this BS.
Yeah. I was just literally looking as well. There's one of them. He's got I was just looking at he had his dad, because his dad unfortunately passed away, so he had him on a sprayed helmet. But you can see he's at Farley as well with the JT kit on, and JT.
Who's that?
Dean Batchelor, his name is.
Oh, hey Dean.
From the UK, and he's got some really cool JT stuff.
Nice shot.
Really cool stuff. He's got all the helmets, loads of the JT helmets. If you've got what sort of did you keep any bikes, Danny? Got any bikes? Or
I have bikes. I have a range. I have a KTM 300. Actually, a Husqvarna 300, which is my trail bike. I like kind of like ride technical trails on that, and I've got a Honda 450 just to moto and play around on bike, and then I've got a Ducati Scrambler. I've got one of it's just for around town, bike. It's just kind of like you got to have one bike. You can't do anything with one bike, so you know what I mean. It's kind of like you have to have a whole corral of bikes, different sizes and stuff. So I'm thinking of probably getting something else. I don't know, but I like trail riding. Don Emler and I ride. Actually, we used to ride probably 25 days a year, just trails in the mountains for many years. And that's kind of fun to do because we can go an hour and a half north of here. We have open free riding, mountains and desert, and it's really fun stuff.
Rod's just come back on and just said, "I just wanted to say what a great guy you are. I had the most fun growing up riding our motorcycles at the Scout House, and I will never forget going to Carlsbad, and you had, I think he rode a Suzuki then, but your Toyota truck scared the living shit out of me. And I can say that you could have been a rally car driver. That road in the truck scared the living shit out of me."
Come on, Rod.
That's brilliant.
I know the stupid stuff we used to do. Yeah. But it was a Suzuki truck. It was Toyota gave all the riders Suzuki pickup trucks. Pretty cool era. It was nice to have a vehicle like that. That was a Toyota, yellow Toyota. They had, you remember the yellow? They had the blue, the color, and they had these little stripes through the side of the yellow. That's funny.
I thought this might come up as well. I was just see Rob Matheson has just put, "How did you like riding a 500 after the Let Brock buy season?"
Well, I want to let that era go by. I mean, it's kind of, I don't want to beat dead horses, but about that, Brock and I are really good friends. I admire Brock so much. We get along really well, and we joke around a lot. And but we you know, the 500 was a after the 125 class. Yeah, going from a 125 to the 500. That's
a
true.
massive thing.
Yeah, but like I said, I loved riding a 500. I liked the big power, and it's kind of like, you know, a beast. You have to try to tame the beast, right? That's what it's like riding, you know, because you couldn't even ride those 500s to their maximum. It's impossible. It's physically impossible, and you're trying to hook. You're just trying to tame the power to come around a turn. Like I remember, like you can imagine in France, there's a track called Gale Fontaine, and it's like chalk white concrete. And when it rains, you can't even walk on it, right?
Nice, yeah.
You imagine riding a 500 on that. You know, I'll never forget that. It's like, is it possible to even ride on that track? And actually, Andre was there. Mahler, we rode. It was an international race.
Yeah,
bunch of riders at the time, but Andre was the best that day that was there. And so I'll never. At that time, I had a mechanic named Bill Bushka, and Bushka runs out to the track. That was Bushka. Yeah, I think was that Bushka? Yeah, I think so. It was that's right. And he takes a hammer, and he literally, right, because it was raining, he smashed my head pipe. He just started smashing it flat on the 500. He just made a big pancake out of the header pipe just to kill the power.
Wow, just to slow it down a bit. Like.
Yeah, just to slow it down. It was pretty smart, actually. I'll never forget that.
Wow. Like you said, it's just you just sort of try to ride, I guess, them smooth, and like you said, you're just trying to point them in the right direction.
You didn't have a tone down button, you know. Now that you can like hit the different modes probably now you know on the ignitions.
Yeah, for sure.
But that was the 500s were fun to try to learn how to ride, and I think that's why they were kind of cool, because you completely different lines, and it was just more of like you had to finesse the bikes, you know, because you couldn't really manhandle them, you know, for sure.
I've just got Dean Harris just said, I've always wondered where Danny's surname La Porte originated from.
Yeah, it's a French name. Somewhere, I think it was down southern France area near Carcassonne, where the name, which, you know, my sister did a little, you know, historic kind of a tracing back, you know, where the name came from and the family. And I think it came from originally that area. Yeah. So, yeah, I got some Frenchy blood. I'm mixed. I got a lot of everything in me.
Yeah.
Typical American.
Plenty of talent as well to race all them things. He's put Booker also won titles with Noyce and Hudson. Awesome dude.
Yeah. I was just thinking of Graham. The other day I saw a picture. I got to race with him some Trans Am events, because I didn't get to race the 500 class with him because he was done, I think, at that time. But I did get to do some Trans Am events with him, and I got to know him a little bit. He's a real fun guy, really nice guy. It was, and I saw him at a couple events, those vintage events. We did one in about 15 years ago up in Northern California, and he rode. He was riding then, and he's a really great guy. So we hung out all day long and chatted. So that was the last time I got to see him, but he's a really good guy. Nice. We had a fun time.
Rod Saunders also wanted to say that he just wanted to say hi from his mother that he's sitting here with now as well.
Hey.
And he just put, how are your folks still around, and your sister in the same place as far away? Let us know. Good to see your picture. Take care, brother. We love you.
Yeah, both my parents passed away in just the last couple of years. So, yeah.
So it sounds like he's you had a long history with Rod then.
Yeah. Oh yeah. We were like, I think maybe 9 or 10 years old, the very first 10 times, 10 years old, got to, started riding bikes back then, or going out to the desert, I believe, and doing, stuff with families together at that time. So it was the very beginning of my motorcycle career. And
yeah, I've just found a couple of pictures of Dean's stuff. Look, he's got like loads of brand new.
oh yeah.
Helmets.
That was like Jean-Michel's kind of style helmet. I know Jean-Michel
Yeah,
wore.
I think he's even had it signed by the looks of it. It looks like he's
Oh,
got it signed.
JMB,
Yeah,
JMB,
it
right?
looks like it.
Yeah,
He's got the older black gear, and yeah, he's got loads of stuff.
yeah.
It's
You know what I was thinking about earlier. They talk. We were talking. This is something that popped in my mind. We were talking about, racing back. Jean-Michel was one of the only guys that, won
yeah,
titles.
yeah.
I was thinking, they.
Yep.
I know people, they use the word goat, right? Goat. But I think really, you think about it, to be a real goat, you'd have to win titles everywhere.
Yeah.
I think he would be really one of those, to win Supercross, world titles, motocross, both sides of the continent. He would definitely be.
Yes, definitely
at that level.
That is cool as well. What's Martin put here? The 500 French GP, they raced there in 1987. Very fast, slippery. Payerne Le Fountain track that day. It was an Italian rider called Romeo Nani who almost beat Thorpe and Colquist that day. I'm not sure on that one.
Yeah, I believe it because it's Fontaine. Yeah, that's the same track that I had ridden at. No, Père La Fontaine. No, it's a different. Well, anyway, the 500 GP they raced in '87 was very slippery. There are so many slippery tracks in France. They're concrete. Yeah, and Italy, tough. I mean, that was really hard to. There's so many fast guys on the hard tracks, like in Italy. It's really amazing. If you look at when you look at the times at some of the GPs, even today, there's 10 guys on the same second. Sometimes, in qualifying and it's really, I mean, half of them are within a half a second, and there's another 10 guys on the same second. So that's really.
Who were the good teammates, and were there any pain in the ass teammates that you had over the years?
No, I tried to get along with everybody. Everyone's different. I loved all of them. They're just racers. Everyone has a good day, a bad day. You get really emotional. You say things sometimes you don't mean, and but it's. I forgot that stuff blows over my head so quickly. I never held a grudge or I never really, nobody really bothered me. That was kind of, some guys thrive off that, right? They enjoy the fact that not liking someone, I got to beat that guy, right? Or those guys, or, I never really raced against someone because I didn't like them. I just wanted to win if I could. If I had the chance, but maybe I should have had that idea. I don't know. But
good battles with Jobe.
Yeah. Oh yeah. They're the best memories of my life, and they're, and, I mean, George was a great, gnarly competitor, he was great. And, everybody has, we all pick on, everyone slams everyone picks on everybody, but at the end of the day, they're all good guys. They're all just racing, doing the same thing we all love to do. So I really never had a problem with anybody. But I have to think about that, because maybe there's something I didn't get along with. But I don't know. It's just at the time you're competing against guys, you're not supposed to be friends with, you can't be friends with them all at the time, because you do feel that tension between each other, right? It is there, but I I'd never let it bother me ever, So there's no one I really dislike.
Martin's just mentioned it as well. I had it down as a question. I always ask the guys this. Did you have any weird and wonderful superstitions at all, Danny, in your career? Or?
Superstitions? No. No. No, I never did.
That's good. That's a good thing.
Yeah. No, I wasn't superstitious. And I mean, I met my wife in Italy, and at a Supercross race in Genova.
Oh,
and, yeah. And, she grew up in Torino, Italy. And she's the only person I know that's superstitious of like black cats walking across the road, or,
that one. Yeah.
It's like, yeah. So that's pretty funny.
Yeah. I think some of the riders used to have to, clunk some new helmets on the floor and all sorts of weird and wonderful stuff. Left boot on first, get on the right side of the bike, all sorts of.
Oh yeah, no, I never did. I never had any superstitious. I mean, I just, I heard the helmet thing. The helmet thing, but no, I have no weird superstitions.
That's a good thing.
Yeah.
What would be if I had to nail you down to that, Danny? What would you say was your favorite race bike in your career?
Oh, I would say always the bikes you win on, right?
Yeah.
They're the best.
Yeah, they're cool.
Yeah, but I think that I think sometimes I think I don't know, probably the best bike I rode on were the bikes that I won on, because they did everything, like they were really easy to ride. They did everything I felt like when I go into a line and I drop in, the bike didn't want to climb out of the rut. It didn't want to turn in. It wanted to stay exactly where I was on the position of the way I ride. It stayed exactly down in the rut and came out of the rut in line, when not just decided to come out or wanted to climb out or climb in, or some of the bikes is really, and no matter after I've ridden a lot of bikes, there's nothing I can do to get them to work right. Seriously, whether it be the preload, of course, I'm not have a factory team behind me anymore to solve those problems, but still, just the things available to you, the clickers, the setting the ride height and everything. No matter what you do, the geometry of that bike didn't fit me. The whole bike was wrong. Today, I mean, a lot of bikes are like that. It's very rare I can get on a bike and this bike steers just the right. It steers really well, and it's still stable. I can hit stuff, G-outs really, and I don't feel like I'm going to do anything weird in the air. So, or going into a turn, the bike, I can steer into a rut, stay into a rut, or I can control it when it wants to get in and out of a rut. So it's really, the bikes have to kind of fit you that way, and it depends on your riding style, the size that you are, how tall you are, short. Your height, and all these different factors. But it's kind of I think people have to ride different bikes to find one that the best suits them, not the color of the brand. Don't pay attention to anything. You just have to try different bikes and say, wow, this bike does what I like it to do. I feel confident on the bike, you know what I mean? So that's kind of, because you can't spend, and you can't spend another 10,000 on suspension and to try to fix those things, because sometimes it's just in the chassis. It doesn't. You can do all you want. It's not going to fix it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
You said you felt. Yeah. you said you felt that they turned like the Yamahas when you won the world title stuff, that they were light feeling, and they turned really well.
Actually, I have to say I was testing it Fars d'Olivier in southern France on the Yamaha. And I felt like it wasn't steering right. It was I couldn't. It just didn't track right and steer right. And literally, they had a set of offset triple clamps there that day that I pulled the whole front of the bike back into me, and that thing was magic. It was like that. And you can't do, not everybody can just do that, right? I mean, you don't need to have the factory bikes with all the different offsets and angles and all the different things available, but it just was that quick, and it was like night and day. And I said that was it, and that was the bike I rode all year that one day. And but it didn't turn the way I wanted it to until I had pulled the whole front end in to the tire, same angle, but just pulled in the whole front end. I think it was quite a bit, actually.
What did it mean to you to obviously represent Team America, and obviously you end up winning as well, the Motocross the Nations, and that was obviously super cool to do.
Yeah, the nations were, you know. So you asked me about the world title before and what it felt like to win. Honestly,
oh yeah, Martin asked,
yeah, and that was great in a different way, right? That was something that was an individual thing, and that was. But this race before was super different, right? I mean, we were kind of the underdogs at the time. Well, we had never won. Americans had never won, and I think one of the reasons why Americans had never won is because they would one guy from Ken Howard would go over on a Husqvarna and he would do his own thing, and then maybe Jimmy Weiner, I don't know at the time, on a Kawasaki, or whoever was riding a Kawasaki at the time, they went maybe, and then another guy, Hannah, went on a Yamaha. So they were all, no one really kind of stuck together as a team. And so this year was different because everyone was tired of going because we had never had any results. And, and I have to say, DeCosta was the first thing. Well, that's a BS excuse. You know, we got to put together. We'll pay for the team, basically. So between Dave Arnold and Roger DeCosta, they and Bell Ray and some other people that put money into getting us to go over there. It was, he just said, we'll just do the whole team. You know, we'll just be one. The Honda team will go. We'll do it. And so I think if you look at the riders, Donnie, it wasn't chance that the next year Donnie Hansen won everything in America. He won he was Grand National champion, he was Supercross champion. He won everything. Johnny O'Mara was right there after him. These guys it was a perfect storm, right? Because everyone had won titles. Yeah. You know, literally, Chuck had just won his first title, I believe, that year on a Honda. I dislocated my wrist at the beginning of the season, and I just got my act together like halfway through the Nationals. So I was just kind of coming back, and I had won a title, and then I ended up the very next year winning a title, and Johnny won title. So it was a perfect timing. They were all on their way up, and that's the kind of thing you want. You guys that that are motivated, right? And everyone was motivated, and we were a team. And the team thing really did work, because I remember, it's a funny, quick story, and I don't know if you want to hear it or not. Maybe it's
of course,
getting bored with it. But so DeCosta says, hey, we have to ride a Lummel this weekend, and we use a lot of fuel, and we have no idea if these bikes can even go. This is the very first race, that we had the week before we were out testing. He goes, we don't know if these things will finish a 45 minute heat in the deep sand. Yeah. And so someone's got to go out and ride and see if we'll go the distance. So I said, okay, I'll go do it. So I have to do a 45-minute on sand track. There's Zolder, and no shit, we ran out of gas like 2.5 laps before the end. Yeah. And so, who would have thought that, right? I mean, all the guys with experience, and you're together in a team, and you're, so right away they had to get 500 tanks, the 500 factory tanks. So they had to round them up off the bikes that were in Europe, right? Because I don't think we had. Oh yeah, we had them on the bikes that we shipped over for the next week, and the 500. The race in Germany was the weekend after. So we had the tanks. We took those tanks and put them on the bikes, and then we were good to go. So, we would never have won that year if we hadn't been had that kind of expertise with us, and so that really made it hard for the Belgian countrymen of DeCosta, after we won, even more, right?
I was going to say, was he good? Was he good to work with as well, doing that as well, DeCosta?
Yeah, it was. It's just, he was so excited that we won that day. It was amazing. The feeling I got, it was like, especially in Belgium, you know, the hardcore motocross guys. And
Yep.
I mean, it's the heart, right? It was the heart of the world at that time. You know, of motocross. I think of motocross. I'm talking about the heart of motocross was based in Belgium. Everybody came to Belgium to race international races, or, you know, France and even in England, but still Belgium was the hot spot. Everybody was based in Belgium to race, right?
Yeah.
And in that time, and you could race every weekend, you know, in an international race, whether it be France or Belgium. So I think that it was big. I mean, it was a national sport. You know, DeCoster and Joel Robert and Gaston and Harry Everts. These guys were national heroes. So you know, they took it serious. So this young team that won was kind of, I think it was kind of, but you know, it was all good. It was all great, and it was probably the most exciting moment I had ever experienced, you know, to see that kind of the look on all the Americans who were there. You know, finally we won something, you know, in Europe. So,
then obviously it started a bit of a long streak after that as well.
Yeah, and that gave me the opportunity to race the World Championships. That was my so, and you know, if you think about it, I went to Honda because hoping that maybe DeCoster could get me to Europe one day. But what got me there was DeCoster putting me on the team showed that we could do it. And I think I had overall both weekends, I had maybe one of the better results of everybody on the whole thing. So Heikki was looking for a rider, and I found someone that I knew who went and asked Heikki if he'd be interested. And he says yes that day after Lummel. And I made pretty much a deal with them the day after that day in Lummel.
Wow.
And then pretty much it was kind of getting close already. And I hadn't done anything, but the first person I wanted to talk to was Roger, because he'd got me to that point. And Roger was already talking about the next season and everything. And it was our hardest call I ever had to make. Ever. To say, I can't ride with you. I want to race in Europe. And I knew what I was turning down. Like, the bikes were going to be insane, because they had been developing the bikes, the lowered radiator 250s, with the fuel pumps, and that was the very next year bike, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I had to make a quick, it's like, oh my God, what do I do? You know, I'm turning down an offer to race in America on like what's coming. I knew what was coming. The bikes were going to be unbeatable for the next 5, 6, 7 years. I knew that, and kind of wasn't sure. It was no guarantee, but I kind of knew that, you know, and I had something going good with Honda. Is a risk for me to, and I said, yep. I just had to do it because I knew that's what I wanted to do. So Roger was really great, and he knew that. He knew that's what I wanted to do. And so anyway, and you know what was amazing, even that the next year coming up, the next Nations, Honda was the only company, because we'd won the first year. Everyone said, okay, Honda, you get to do it again. You put the team together, right? It's Honda team again. You won. We want to win again. Basically, the industry kind of stuck behind them. Although now Yamaha, Kawasaki, Suzuki, they all wanted a piece of it now because it was
of course.
So Roger called, but honestly, I swear, now this will blow your mind. Roger was going to make an exception for me to be on the team on the Yamaha that next year.
Right.
So that was amazing, right? Because they were going to say, you know, we're willing, you since you won the first year, you have to be on, we're asking you'd be the odd guy on the team. They didn't say that. He actually wanted me to be on the team.
Yeah.
Says, and then, of course, in my mind, I think, no, because you guys took all the risk, you know, it wouldn't make it right. You know, if it was one guy, because I wanted to see the team win again. So anyway, it's just a little quick story, and no big deal, but it was a big, So and that says a lot about Honda and Dave Arnold, Roger DeCoster at the time to do that. Yeah. So
Wow. I
Yeah.
just got Martin's just said, did you live close to the Yamaha headquarters in Hasselt? Is that how you pronounce that? And did you travel with your mechanics to some GP races, or you went by plane?
Yeah, I traveled by plane to all the GPs. And I drove to a couple actually. You can, of course, in Europe, it's
Yeah.
great, right?
Yeah.
But no, I lived in Belgium in Tremelo at first, right
Okay.
near De Coster's, where De Coster lived, because
Yeah.
again, here's De Coster. I don't know what he offers me. If you need a place to live, you can live in my house. Well, you got to be kidding. He's a Honda guy.
Nice.
I'm
Yeah.
a Yamaha guy. So
Yeah.
I said no. I lived there for actually in his house for a few days and a few weeks until I found another place.
Did you?
And,
That's nice.
and then of
Wow.
course I had to. Yamaha wanted me to find my own
Yeah.
place.
Yeah.
And
Yamaha and a Honda.
so I found a place in Heistoptenberg, which was just a few miles from Tremelo, and where De Coster had his house. And it's just in the heart of all the sand tracks. So you literally 20 minutes there, 30 minutes there, you could ride tracks there were everywhere. So
Right, cool. That's cool.
yeah.
Did you prefer the motocross over the supercross side of things, Danny? Was that your
Yeah, definitely. Absolutely. That's a whole other story too, because I never really got along with Supercross because I didn't like the idea of it, because it was kind of like, okay, this idea in the stadium, we will make these jumps. It's all, come on. This is like, I saw it happening. I'm all, this doesn't look like fun. This is just like a show, right? To me, it was always a show. But anyway, I kind of, I didn't really, it didn't interest me. I was never interested I thought that, wait a minute, if I get hurt doing this, I'll not be able to do that, right? So I kind of was a little bit, I didn't really enjoy it that much. I didn't like racing at night. I thought it was weird. But a lot of guys dug it. I mean, I can understand. It was, it was different, but I never really, I was kind of against it a little bit too, because in a way, because I knew that in the beginning there was, the stadiums were full. I know that we were making peanuts. The riders were making nothing, like I think $1,500 or something, 2,000 to win overall. You look in the
big
stadium,
risk as well?
there's 40 or 50,000 people in the stadium, and we're making $2,000.
Yeah.
We had bonuses from the manufacturer, but why should they? So I was, oh.
Not sure what happened there. Hopefully we get him back in. Come back, Danny. Come back. What a cool guy he is, eh? There's there on the Honda, look. Honda days. How mad was that he was staying in Roger DaCosta's house when he's the Honda man and he's on the Yamaha? That's pretty cool. Love that. Hopefully he'll be back in a second. Hopefully. I was just looking, I've got to ask him about this as well. Don't know where I got that from exactly, but looks like a little bit of a naughty crash there. I'll ask him about that. Hopefully he'll come back on. I thought he was pretty much into the motocross side of things and not the supercross. Some pretty cool pictures. Everything was so cool then, wasn't it? I can tell I'm not a modern guy, eh? Just love all this stuff. It just never gets old. Finding all the pictures out and stuff like that. For the interviews, I love that just as much as I do the interviews. Finding pictures, well, if I get the right ones anyway. Some people stitch me up with the this is so and so underneath, and I get pulled into the odd couple here and there that I think I put up a couple tonight that weren't him. Yo, thanks for coming on, Ben, and thanks for that Russia story thing. That was cool. Proper nice guy, isn't he? The Americans as well, they talk so well. Very cool. Remember everything, very detailed, which is cool. I didn't show him that one either, did I? That front cover. Action Now. Don't remember that one, but that magazine. But so I can see the year on that one. I think that says 81. February 1981. I think that says on there, volume 7, number 7. So that must have been a new one there. Look. Hopefully, this might be Danny coming through. Hopefully. Hopefully, it's going to come through. Ah, Danny.
Lee?
You're back. Beautiful. Can you hear me? Ah, no, it's not going to do the volume thing again, is it? Can you hear me? Can you hear me now? I can see you okay. Can you hear me? Oh, no, it's going to do the microphone thing again, isn't it? When I did the microphone. Yeah, I can hear you.
Hello, Lee?
You. Yeah, I can hear you. I'll message him. I can hear you.
Can you hear me? Hey, Lee.
Yeah, I can hear you. I can hear you, mate. Hey, we can hear you now. Beautiful.
Yeah.
I was panicking then, hopefully.
Yeah, so anyway, yeah.
Yeah. Ben's just saying, when I did the TMH feature on him, he sent me more words than I was allowed to write myself. Amazing. Just saying, when you've gone off, I said, you talk so well. You've got so much experience, so many cool memories. It's so cool to listen. I was just talking to him about this Action Now magazine that I forgot to show you. He's put Skateboard Magazine, put it out. I was just looking at it now. There you go.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Action Now.
Yeah. I was just looking at the thing and it says February 1981, I think.
Wow, that's funny. Yeah, we were just talking about the old Supercross stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, anyway, so the Supercross thing didn't make sense, like I was saying before, to me, because I didn't really, that's not what I signed up for, but I just kind of had to do it. And I went through it. I just didn't want to get hurt or anything because I wanted to focus on outdoor stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And so I had a couple good races, and I was always in the probably top 10, top 8, racing in that area, but I never really, I could have done without racing Supercross completely. And then, like I was saying, it didn't make sense from the very beginning to make us go do this stuff, because the promoters at the time definitely were completely separate from the industry, right? It was not, they were there to make money. That's kind of how I felt at the time.
Yeah.
My maybe I don't know, naive way of thinking, but I just kind of wanted just to race outdoors, and just kind of, it just didn't do anything for me at all. It didn't excite.
Yeah.
I thought it was silly in a way. It's like, are you kidding me? We have to really race, because Supercross started in 73 or 74. It was nothing new. And I knew we had to race, it was part of the deal, the Supercross.
Yeah.
But I just didn't like it. And then I never, even there was times we were always trying to like create a riders union to get the riders together. Even still today, it doesn't exist.
No, to get say, like,
so it's not like football, soccer, baseball, nothing. It's different. It's still different that way. And so the riders, they just don't seem to. They're really competitive, and the riders are just they're not thinking about that. I don't know. It just seems like to me that they would be doing much better if they participated in part of that, financially, the part of Supercross, because, today it's getting better, I'm sure, but the manufacturers and sponsors are paid the bulk of the bonuses still. It doesn't come from TV or the event. So anyway,
when you think about it as well, Danny, it's a lot of I know that obviously there's risk in any of it, motocross, as we know, high risk, but it definitely seems like there's been, especially over even the last few years, there's so much risk with the Supercross. When you've got the top guys in the world on Supercross, and they're all like, look at recently, like literally the sort of almost like the top 10 were all like injured for some reason or another. Just
Right.
makes you wonder with these new bikes and the way the Supercross tracks are. It's obviously something's not quite right, let's say.
Yeah. I mean, the riders are so, there's so much. The guys that go out there, they're gonna give 110%. The young guys, they're not thinking about that. There's money available to them that's really outstanding now today compared to when I was racing. The bonuses, and so it's different. I can't really compare anymore. That was my time, and today they're if they're financially they're doing better and better. But I can tell you, a lot of the teams struggle out there. A lot of the teams, especially, it's not so much the top guys. This was always my contention a little bit. I'd show up. I had a you're a factory rider. Everything's paid for, done. You show up, you race, and then you haul ass that night. You get on a plane, or the next morning you're gone.
Yeah, somewhere else. Yeah.
But 80% of the other guys out there that don't make up that have to be to make an event. You need people to disqualify. Those guys go home with nothing, really, pretty much. And or the guys even out of the top 10 or 15 are standing in line to get a paycheck that night, so they can get on to the next race. That was back in that era, not the guys that qualified. The top 20 guys were all factory riders. It's just the other 80 that show up to qualify. So they're making up the program for the promoters, but they were really spending all their own money to get there down the road. So it really was kind of, I said, I'm willing to give this cheesy $1,500 or $1,000. I don't need that money because I was getting paid for by your sponsor, the manufacturers. I give it to the guys that need it. Give all that $50,000 purse to the guys that need the money.
Really need it. Yeah.
The guys that make up they have to qualify every weekend and try to make money to get down the road. The smaller teams, those guys, give the money to them, because the top 20 guys don't care about the purse money. It's not. I don't anyway. I didn't anyway. So maybe I don't know what the purses are today, but they're not huge.
No, they were basically, like you said, they were surviving from.
It's not like winning Wimbledon or
No, no, there's no millions. Yeah, no millions.
Yeah.
Martin's just said for next year, he goes, if that talking about the vets thing again at Fox Hill, he goes, imagine 2024 if you could get LaPorte, Hudson, and Watson all together. A reunion would be super cool.
I'd love to.
Yeah,
yeah,
that'd be amazing.
I love those. Are all great, super nice guys too. I had a great time with Dave. We rented this cabin in New York. I don't know if it was his idea or I think it was my idea. But anyway, I told the promoters. I asked the promoters if they could find a place for us, and they found this little old cabin in the lakes in the hills near New York. Which northern New York is beautiful. And Dave and I, like literally, I think that there were rats in the place, and it was this old beat up cabin. You had to make your own fire, but we hung out there for an entire week before the GP, and we practiced somewhere locally and different tracks in the area. But had a great time. That was a great memory.
That'd be cool if this could happen. I had Dave Watson was at I've done a couple of events as well, and I do like a reunion Motocross Speedway memories, and Dave Watson come on a Suzuki two-stroke to my Legends thing as well. I had Dave Fort riding and stuff like that as well. It was just so cool.
Yeah.
It was really cool. So yeah, that would be awesome to see. So hopefully maybe that'll happen at some point. It'd be cool.
Yeah, no, keep it in mind. If I'll come. I'm not, like I said, I'm not working now, so I can do things like I couldn't really do before.
Yeah, I've already messaged Dave King that runs the vets donations at Fox Hill. So
yeah, and Dave has actually offered and asked me before, but I've always so busy doing.
Always too busy. Yeah. So this could be. That'd be cool if that could happen. If we could do that, that'd be super cool for sure.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
That would be cool. Hopefully he's
something I can look forward to train for.
Yeah. I was just speaking, obviously, to Doug DeBack last night. He was there again this year,
Yeah.
enjoying himself, and had a good chat with him.
Yeah, Doug's a lot of fun, and Doug, he'll do that race in Italy as well. That one that I told you about, and it's called Transborgaro, and it's the end of November, and he's been doing it for a few years now, 3 or 4 years, I think. And there's a couple, 1 or 2 years that didn't happen because of the junk going on, But
he's actually in Italy. Apparently, at the moment, he's in Italy. I think they did something recently as well.
There was something in Maggiora going on.
That's it, Maggiora. Yeah. That looked cool as well. What did you do? You must have raced that track. Did you like that track, Danny?
Maggiora, it was okay. I actually raced there only one time, and then the time it rained out one GP, and then I raced one GP there only. Yeah. And it was pretty decent track. I liked it. It was okay. It was good. I mean, it was kind of rocky, but yeah, it was. One year, like I said, it rained. It was a disaster. Even the first year it was there, it also rained. It rained twice. Yeah. The two years it had rained, but one wasn't that bad. But at the end of the year, and when we hand the donations, it's usually a good time, I think, season. But early, the GP was always wet and mucky and slimy, so it's kind of a little.
What were your favorite tracks in Europe and your favorite tracks in America?
Oh, that's a good question. Like I said, because I'm a little old school style in the tracks, I guess. But
yeah, I love that.
Unadilla, Southwick. We had tracks. I think those two really stood out in my mind. The old Hangtown track was amazing.
Oh yeah.
The first one in Plymouth, it was sand. It was all in a big giant sand wash kind of area where they used to do all the gold mine dredging there, So it was a lot of. It was kind of a historic area. It's kind of where they all the gold, they mined for gold. So everywhere was the ground was all turned up and these big riverbeds. But anyway, this one was all sand and area, and it was a really cool track. It had a little hard. The start was a hard pack, and then you drop off into the giant sand wash. And you go up and down the hills, and then it was like about 80% sand. It was mixed, and it was a really good track. I love that one. And then Lake Whitney, Texas, there was a track, and Graham Noyce had raced there before, I believe, at a Trans Am one year. I believe he raced it. It was called Lake Whitney, and it was an awesome dirt, amazing dirt. So Unadilla, Southwick. I don't know. There was some of the tracks were kind of the Florida tracks were always pretty good, but again, they're just flat tracks, sand.
Yeah.
It was sand.
You got into the sand, didn't you?
Yeah, but
you got into the sand.
Yeah, and the new Hangtown track, I raced one season, and I really didn't. I raced a couple seasons at the new track, and I really didn't like that zone. It's a completely different track now, and they've done a really great job. Hangtown, as a spectator now, and even I don't know as a racer's point of view, but spectating, it's a great track. The organizers do an amazing job at Hangtown.
Yeah.
To watch the track looks phenomenal to watch, as every spectator can see almost 90% of the track almost. So it's really good. Yeah.
That's over in the UK. Even like all your tracks in America, we just know all the names of them, and you're just like every time you say a different name, it's like Hangtown, Unadilla, love it, Redbud. It's over.
And there was some tracks that they don't race anymore. New Orleans, and then San Antonio, and there was track in Rhode Island, and then there was one in Binghamton, New York. Binghamton had a track. It was real rocky. It was kind of a gnarly track. Actually, just tons of round, rolly rocks. Even Unadilla, people don't realize there's a lot of rocks you don't really see, and they're buried in the ground. And you look like it's great traction, but it's really not. There's underneath, it's kind of like another layer you don't even see, and it's got little round, rolly rocks in it. And the bike's always moving around, so it's really kind of in practice, it's awesome because the grass is deep.
Yeah, it got nice.
It used to be that way, but now they run so many races before the event. I think it's all gone, all the grass.
Oh, that's why you said about you had that armor on for those rocks at Unadilla.
I don't know yeah, yeah, exactly. They were big,
Yeah.
nasty things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is
And
there any other?
I think two strokes threw the rocks higher.
Yeah. Too
The
much spinning going on. Too much
the
spinning
four
going on.
strokes can only kick them up a little bit, but the two strokes
Yeah.
can really kick them up high,
Those
especially
things just
500.
grip and go, don't they? Those things grip and go. But yeah,
Yeah.
the old two strokes spin out those stones. Is there any other sports you like watching on TV and stuff like that, Danny?
Yeah. Well, I'm in my yeah, I watch a lot of tennis. Both kids played tennis in
Okay.
school. They went
Yep.
to my daughter went to university in here in Los Angeles,
Yep.
Loyola, and she was a tennis player on the tennis team. They both played
Nice.
tennis,
Yep.
and she just she played in this tennis university, and my son played also traveled around playing, tournaments around the world. Different levels of tennis, trying to make it into the top, all the challenger events and
Nice.
below the next level, which would be like all the Grand Slam stuff and futures and challenge. So he played for a few years and then got hurt and then quit playing. And so we're kind of, we all were in tennis, and it was a really great thing because while I was racing still,
Yep.
when we moved back to Europe again to race the rallies and stayed there for about 7 years. So while I was always traveling and racing still, my wife, it was some place she could take them, tennis. It's like motorcycle riding is complicated to, if you're busy racing and your kids are growing up to do both at the same time, it's kind of tough.
Yeah.
But anyway, I just chose, I thought it'd be better if I wanted my kids to do something different than I did. I don't know.
Yeah. I've just been watching the US Open. The US Open was not long ago, was it? Literally recently, I was watching a bit of coverage of that on the TV, the US Open tennis.
Yeah, and my daughter actually works for the WTA.
The women, tour.
The office is in Wimbledon there, I think, is where the main office is. But she lived there for quite a while in London, and then it's her favorite place. And she would like to live in London. She could. And actually, her husband, she's married to, is Tyler Miller, and he's a goalie for the DC United. So I've been learning a lot about soccer.
Yeah, soccer. I was just about to say we call it football, but obviously we know you're American.
Football. Okay, yeah.
You call it soccer. I know.
I call AYSO soccer in California. Yeah. Everyone, we all play. I played soccer when I was little, but mostly high school, just high school stuff.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah. So I'm learning a lot more about that.
What did you do training wise when you were racing in America around the GPs? Did that differ over the years? What sort of things did you do back then?
Yeah, training wise, I would I did a little of everything. I think I just ran, cycling, and then off season I would ski and cross country ski and I hunted a little bit. That was good for, at the end of the year was over in October, November was hunting season up in Idaho. So I chased animals in the mountains. So
wow.
Yeah. And then, but that was good too. It was great exercise, and it's just to be outdoors and really just running around the mountains was really great exercise. Yeah. And I was living in Los Angeles, and then I ended up moving up to Idaho, Ketchum, because Scott USA was based there.
Okay.
And they were developing the boot. But before that, even in '76, I ended up buying my first home up in Ketchum, Idaho, where Sun Valley was, where Scott was based at, and so ended up living there and for quite a few years. So so it was outdoor stuff mostly, and then mountain biking started to take off in early '80s. 80, 82, 83, funky mountain bike, the old funky mountain bikes. But it was a good place to be healthy wise, health wise. I mean, I learned how to cross country ski, downhill ski, everything was healthy. So it was good. And the skiing was good. You just didn't want to get hurt. That was a negative thing about downhill skiing.
Yeah.
But balance and strength was awesome for that. You know, it was good practice.
Any regrets at all in your career? Any decisions along the way that you think, hindsight and all that, or anything like that?
No, you always think back. I'm sure everybody thinks back on how they can do something better than they did before.
Yeah.
And I think probably for me, maybe it was just at the time, the moment, just focusing, because I'm all over the map, right? The way I think. So I just probably could, if I could concentrate more, and I'm never going to change that now, but it's really funny that I'm that way. I'm wired that way. And like I said, I'm antsy already to do something even before I finish something, right? I'm already thinking to do something.
5 years ahead.
Yeah, exactly.
5 years ahead.
Yeah. So that's kind of a negative thing, I guess. And then, no, I don't think I would change. I'm so fortunate to have done everything I've done racing. It gave me, to be able to. I love traveling, so it was maybe that was part of it too. My brain is to be able to get out there in the world and see different things, and I love Europe. I love traveling to Europe, and we go there every summer. Try to, and it was just sometimes I had to pinch myself to believe it was all. I'm so fortunate, and I think probably one thing I would think of for my racing would be, when you're racing at the time, you don't think about all the people that work for you, that help you along the way, that you don't thank, or we tend to take things for granted sometimes. And there's a lot of people behind these teams that really work their ass off for you. And I think, and sponsors, the money that comes from sponsors, that we're so fortunate to be able to have done, you grew up in a sport that it's a hobby at first, and then becomes to make, a living. So it doesn't get better than that, I don't think,
No, super cool.
And so I think a lot of people along the way, if you could have, probably have thanked and I think that's probably one of the things I probably would change. That would be about it.
Yeah. What's this? I found this online. I don't know if you know where that is and what that was.
That looks like Mammoth.
Oh yeah,
That's
now
Mammoth.
You say that, I recognize that. Yeah, now you say
That's
that.
Mammoth on a Suzuki. Yeah, I remember going. I was between races or something, and then I needed to practice, so I just throw the bike in my truck, run up the Mammoth, and jumped in a race. I think that was a 125, and that's funny.
I can confirm that you did walk away from this and got back on the bike, because I had the other pictures as well.
You know what? I could say it. I could blame it on a few of my friends that used to borrow my bikes and my jersey, and when I was out of town, and they would literally, I'd come back after being gone for like 2 months somewhere traveling or racing, right? And I'd come back, and I had like 2 or 3 bikes in my garage. In LA, I also rented a place here, and up in Idaho too, I had my place, and I had bikes kind of everywhere. And so I'd leave jerseys and all my clothes. Some of my friends would take my bike, put my gear on, and go race local races.
No way.
Yeah. And I have stories of people like, I remember that race I beat you, it's kind of like, where was that? It was Baymare or Ascot, and in the junior class in 1981 or something like that. I don't think I was racing that class. But
no.
I have friends. I think
that's brilliant. That's brilliant. So there's a few people out there.
Hey, I think Doug Nickel did that to me. Doug Nickel.
Yeah. Because we got Brock Nickel rides now, his son.
Yeah, and Brock. So I think Doug was Doug was a really super talented dirt motocross rider. Actually, he rode really, really well, and so I think we had some fun times anyway. Yeah, and Doug's local guy here. He lives. We grew up nearly in the same neighborhood, so and we still stay in touch.
Won't be easy for this, but favorite thing that you've won that meant the most to you?
Favorite thing. I won. Well, one of them would be one as a prize or an event.
Any. Well,
any.
No, actually, we'll have an event and then something that you won of an end of the season. So one of each. Favorite event you won then?
Favorite event that I won? God, that's a good one. Well, for sure the nations was special in the World Championships, but the one event I know there is. I mean, I think the first rally I won in Africa, which was the Pharaohs Rally in Egypt.
Wow, yeah,
yeah,
cool.
And that was after I crashed in Dakar. Remember, and I had the lung contusion, heart contusion thing.
Yeah, that's crazy. Man.
And then the very next race was the Pharaohs Rally. It's 11 days. It's the second. At the time, it was the second biggest rally in Africa, and I won that. The next race I came back, and so that was a huge for me. You know, that was a big deal. And the rallies were the rallies were. I mean, I think that was probably one-off event. I would say that would have been it. You know, as a comeback.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I've got a question here as well. That was, if I had to ask you who the 3 best riders that you've ever raced with in your career, who would you say those guys are?
Well, I would say I have to say more because it'd be probably the number one guy would be Glover.
Yeah.
Hannah.
Yeah.
They were both. I mean, to me, they're both equal in their status of their ability of and style and things like that. And because I got to race with them, and David Bailey would be one of those for sure. And there's just so many, Then Johnny O'Mara. I mean, I couldn't limit it to 3, but maybe I'll break it down to 3 in a minute. And then of course, and then the 2 years battling with Joe Bay, Joe Bay, and then in America, because I did have a longer history with racing with guys, and they were those were the 2 or 3 of the hardest guys to compete with. So in America, I'll say like Glover, Hannah, and Bailey were the 3 of really great guys that I had to had a lot of respect for and also ability and everything. And then on the other side of the pond would be George and Kenny Garner and Kenny Garner. Actually, I only raced with Kenny. I'm sorry, I meant Kees Vanderven.
Oh yeah, Kees Vanderven.
Yeah, and Kees was always right there. He would super consistent, and so yeah, those guys were probably in my world. The guys that I had to beat at the time were those guys. There was one more guy too that I could never leave out, would be Mike Bell in America. I know that's 4, but so Mike was one of those guys. Mike Bell. Yeah, so they were all Yamaha guys, actually, weren't they?
Like the Yamaha.
At that time, those were all Yamaha guys, and in Europe it was Little Brook. But those are the guys that, in my mind, that I had to compete with at the time. And Hannah was a remarkable rider. He was. I thought he was like Cat. He was very fit, but he always landed on his. He was very agile. He just moved really well, and he had a high level of conditioning. I think Bob pretty much drug in the training side of motocross at the time. No, I don't think anyone was as fit as Hannah. And it took a year or 2 for everyone to kind of figure it out and catch up a little bit. But Bob was physically and fit. He can run. Amazing. He was a great runner, and I think that's where he was, and plus he had great natural ability, and he grew up off riding out in the desert. I know where he used to ride because I used to ride there as well.
Yeah.
So he was a good free rider. In the old days, in the 70s in the mountains, he could trail ride.
He liked to ride. Yeah,
he could ride in the mountains, which is really, I think this area where he grew up riding was really a lot of really technical riding and stuff. And he had motocross tracks out there. So I think when he hit when he finally got the nationals, he was physically, and he had that extra layer of riding that nobody else was doing. Motocrossers were just doing motocross, but he had a lot of great exposure to other ways of riding, and I think that
stuff.
The off-road really helped him a lot.
Because he worked a lot, didn't he, with a lot of the riders with the training and fitness stuff after his racing.
He did for a while, I think, but I know he goes to events and things, but I don't think he's training anybody anymore. But
no, I don't think he is anymore. No.
Yeah, of course, Johnny O'Mara's doing that. Johnny, and there's another guy I raced with who was a phenomenal racer. But Johnny's training quite a few guys out there. I think you probably know. Yeah,
I'd love to try and get him on.
Yeah, Johnny's super fit.
He's definitely fit, and he loves it.
He's like, I don't know any. It is like he's got to be 62 or something like that. I don't know, but he's like,
it's like fitter than the kids.
62, 63. Yeah, I know. I think he can spank everybody.
Yeah. This is a cool question. Dean Harris has just put here: if Danny could have any bike in his garage, what would it be?
Oh, you mean right now, like he
said any bike. So I guess this could be an off-road bike.
That's a tough question. That's going to be like who the best riders would be. Best motorcycle. What I have in my garage, what I want right now, I'd want whatever Jet Lawrence is riding.
Whatever he's on as well, and whatever he's drinking or eating.
Well, crazy, at least over watching him race over here anyway, he looks pretty amazing. The bike, I don't know how much it comes into play at that level. I mean, all the manufacturers, you can pretty much at that level get what you need, I think, to be able to win. You know what I mean? I think they're like the Yamahas. I think are probably, I would say maybe, I don't know, just looking at them, but they're right there as well. The Yamahas are great bikes. Hondas. I think it's just it just depends on your ability to communicate with your team and the best build a bike that suits you. And I mean, Lawrence looks like he's kind of a guy that just says he's got it figured out. Is right now in America anyway. Watching him,
very, very mature for his age.
Yeah. What's the deal? What's the deal with these guys that go win every round? Something's wrong. Either these are Superman, or there's the level. No one can beat the guy, right? Is it different? Do different eras have different?
Yeah, maybe.
Depth of field? Is it the depth of field?
Yeah, quite a few people have said that.
Right. I mean, yeah, exactly. So, I mean, it happens in America. How can it happen in America where 3 riders I know have completely 24 motos straight? It's pretty phenomenal.
It is mad.
Even if there was, I was thinking, even if there was no competition that year for that guy,
still bigger.
Still to win 24 motos that has no perfect mechanical, not one problems. It really is phenomenal.
Yeah, injuries, and like you said, going at that speed, no injuries, no big.
Even if there was nobody on the track, I don't think I could ride 24 motos without crashing. I'd have to take myself out.
yeah, that's a cool thing as well. So, so I reckon we should go for a. Is there any road bike? Have you ever done the road bikes thing?
Yeah, back to the motors. Road bikes.
So if you could have a
Ducati Scrambler.
Oh, okay.
But I just ride. I'm not really into road bikes too much, But just the Honda Scrambler. I like the Ducati motors. Just kind of a Ducati thing. I don't know. It's kind of cool to cruise around on. But and then dirt bike. To me, I would have right now, if what I don't have, I would like probably the newest injected 2-stroke for sure. I had the old carbureted Husky 300 is like 5 years old or something. So the newest ones, the TBI or the new TBI model are pretty amazing. I've seen them on the dyno, and they're close. They're almost like you could race those now with the 450s almost. I mean, it's that they're getting that good, 300 2-stroke. They have so much power, low RPM. They're really linear. You can control the power better. They get better power to the ground, So anyway, but they're a little shy of maybe a few horsepower, but they're compared to the 450s, but still, I think they're on the other hand, they're really light. They have other things that are really interesting. I love to see 2-strokes be able to get back out there again. I don't know.
Yeah, same. Yeah, that's why we have our reunion events everywhere in the UK.
Yeah,
2-strokes everywhere. It's beautiful.
Yeah, I love watching the old videos too. The guys, they build a 500, an old 500, and go out and go to some race and kill everybody on 450s. Right? They show up.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, there's plenty of that going on.
Yeah.
It's so cool. It's so cool.
Yeah.
If you don't mind, I'm just going to ask you one more before we go. Like, that is super cool. I've had nearly 3 hours with Danny La Porte. I'll take that.
3 hours?
Amazing. Nearly 3 hours. Where did that go?
You talk too much.
That's brilliant. Unbelievable. We'll have to do another part 2 at another point as well. That would be cool. Hopefully grab you another time would be amazing as well.
No problem.
I'll just ask this, and then I'll let you go. I do appreciate your time, buddy. If you could give any advice to any youngsters out there racing in the youth motocross or supercross or whatever who wants to go pro, what would your advice be to those guys or girls?
I would say that's a good question. And if I were to do it again, I would actually learn how to I would start off learning really like trials, almost like trials riding. You watch guys like Graham Jarvis, off-road riders that if I had a little bit of his ability like that in my motocross beginning, it would be another world, really. Because I think, and I said that because, you look like Jean-Michel Bale. He had that
very technical.
He was very technical. He actually was a pretty good trials rider. He rides, he does ride, and I've ridden with him in the mountains in France in the 90s, not that long ago, I guess. And then I rode with some other trials guys. We were all on motocross bikes, and those guys are just insane. What they can do on a dirt bike, like Tony Boo, you've seen videos of him, they really know how to. It's embarrassing almost when you've ridden motocross and you go ride with these guys and see what they can do on a dirt bike. It's insane what they can climb and they go down and ride. They can do stuff that is really impressive. So those are basic riding skills. And I would start learning that along with racing. You need to race, but also just improving those skills. And now with the videos that you can watch, like now everybody analyzes everybody, like, this is this, see how his ankle and his foot is this and then that, well, his knees is just in front of his foot and his ass is out and his whatever. So many ways to learn things that might work for you, might not, but it's it's worth a try. You get all that information out there now. It's available. Before we used to just come to a track and say, do you think we could do this double jump? We've never done it before. It's like, okay, just hit it third gear wide open, whatever. But now you can do things more step by step, and you can learn. There's so much to learn, and I would recommend, as hard as it is to get a kid to want to go out and learn something else besides hammering it around a track with other kids, it's hard. It's hard, but they want to go out and race with their buddies, and they don't want to go out and try something like trials or an off-road event of some sort where you learn technical things. But honestly, I think that, I even look at the best guys right now, and some of them have those kind of talents.
Mm.
Even Jet Lawrence has a specialty about how he rides. I can see
Yeah.
that, and for me, when I went to Europe, and they went, actually, if you think about it, they were in Europe, right? So they learned from Europe. Their lines, a lot of the stuff they brought with them, they've over experience, and just lines alone are where a lot of times in America, we tend to, with the Supercross tracks, we tend to go straight for the corner. We go on the inside, then we come out, we do the double, then we land, and you come in. It's like it just kind of, but in Europe, you actually learn lines because it's a race. You have to go out wide. You have to cross ruts. You have to look for a smooth place on a track. Where it's so the more you learn, the better. I think. If my son, I was get him into racing, I'd be doing everything. Everything there is.
And like you said about that technical thing where you say you're looking at Lawrence's, and then the way he sort of got that stand-up, almost technical style, and then you sort of think of Jean-Michel Bale, Stefan Everts, that kind of
exactly. You're exactly, and there's they had a really extra little talent. I think Ronnie Lachine had really great style as well. Natural ability. And David Bailey was fantastic, but he was a perfectionist kind of like style, But they're I don't know. I think that they all David Bailey practices skills differently than anyone else, and so you have to think out of the box, and you have to look at everything and try and just and experience going to different tracks. A lot of times, kids tend to go always to the same track. And I think you go as far in as many tracks, even if you don't like it, you go there to learn. You might, if you go to another state or have to go to another town or wherever, but get out of your comfort zone and try something new, and you'll learn. And you might not win that weekend, but you're going to win down the line. And I think going to the same tracks and doing the same thing too much is not the best thing. I think that's
like you said, like go around on different terrains. If you're not too comfortable with sand, get in the sand and things like that. They need
you have to force yourself to do things you don't like. I think that you have to put yourself in those things and learn. You might even like it in the end.
Like you said, you went to the sand, and then like you said,
I learned how to ride in the sand.
On the sand.
Yeah, actually, I became better in sand than I think on a hard track. So
exactly.
I think that's kind of the idea, and you have to go with an open mind and not be afraid to lose. And
like I said, when you're watching that sort of Jet and the Everts and the Bale thing, you can see that they do the lines, but they also it's almost like an energy saving way they ride.
Yeah,
almost,
absolutely.
And don't overexert.
They're thinking all the time. They think they're not just racing around, wide open everywhere. They're actually thinking all the time.
100%.
Yeah,
it's very cool when you analyze it.
I don't know. Everyone's got their thing. I listen to a lot of different people, but I
a lot of opinions.
Yeah, everyone's got opinions, so it's kind of fun. It's kind of fun to hear. I listen to some, everyone's got that. And now it's true now with how it's speeding up everything, with videos and YouTube, and it's just, it really
it's
is
all out there, isn't it? 24/7.
Yeah. So who's the new top upcoming guy in Europe right now? Who do you think? Who's the
Europe? Well, I suppose even he's the legacy of the Everts is continuing. Obviously, Harry Everts 4 times, Stefan 10 times. 10 I think Liam Everts is now on the factory Red Bull KTM team. He's second in the world at the moment in MX2. He's gonna. I think I wouldn't be surprised if he wins it next year. So that'll be 3 generations, which is pretty mad.
Yeah, that's pretty good. Yeah. Well, they have a system down too. They have the Belgian.
they've got I don't know exactly what the age limit is to do the MX2, you know, the 254 strokes, and then they have to go MX1 with the 450s, etc. But they brought that in quite a while ago now, the age limit, because obviously, like back in the 90s, the guys could race in the 125s even when they were older, and that's how the riders like your Puzars and all those guys won world titles later on as well. But Ben's just put Lucas Conan as well. There you go. You've got to be under 23 to ride in the MX2 class, which is the 250 four strokes. And he's going, Lucas Conan is going to come to the USA and kill you all, apparently.
Okay. Lucas Conan. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that'll be good. I can see.
He's won a couple of Grand Prix this year out of nowhere. So looking good.
Yeah. So there's a lot of opportunity, I think, for Europeans coming to America. Obviously, the Lawrence brothers have proved that. You know.
I think you guys seen Hurlins when he come over, the Dutch guy. Hurlins, he come over and won that AMA that time, but he's had quite a few injuries since. Lost a few world titles along the way, but he's still class act. But he's flown that boat now, I think, and not going to come from America.
It'll be interesting that the Nations, right?
Yeah, what's your opinion about that before we go? Actually, as well, I'll just ask you that as well. I don't know if USA are even having a team in it still now, even when we're just over a week away or whatever. And I've seen some of the older pros offering to go there with their own stuff and just ride for Team USA because they think it's terrible not having a team and stuff like that. So, I don't know. What's your thoughts on all that?
Yeah, things are so changing. You know, I mean, all the series, I don't know. I don't know what they have this new World Championship Series after, you know, this going on now. There'll be this one this weekend, last weekend, Sexton won. So you've got that now. So it changes everything. Everyone's, I don't know. It's kind of a bummer. I'd like to see, I like to see the whole world racing together. You know, there's talent everywhere. And, I'd like to see a World Series type thing, you know. I don't know.
But have you seen that they're trying that Roxon's come over into that World Supercross Series? Have you seen that? Yeah, he come to the UK, so that was cool to get to see him in the UK. That was good. But again, this sort of probably the depth of it's not great. Probably past. Exactly. Roxon, it's not great, I wouldn't say. So
it's hard I see all the series are trying. It's really tough to get something started. All the money in the ride in America, everything's, you have the Supercross and then you have the outdoor series. And so they're so solid, you know. It's tough I don't see them creating anything different, you know, because all the promoters want to keep their races right in America. So they're not going to, you know, and the powers behind it. I mean, I'd like to see where all the world would race with each other, you know, whether it be here or Europe, maybe, you know, half races in Europe, half races, but it's not going to happen. It's just a dream, you know, because I do really like to see everybody racing, you know, against each other, you know. At some point, somewhere, that's kind of why I'd miss the not seeing the Americans in the Nations.
So you'd have to keep an eye on that, because me and Ben have both luckily done some commentary on the MXGP this year for Eurosport as well. So we were slightly, he's done another one since, so we were slightly chuffed to be able to do that on the TV feed. Was cool. But he's just said, look, he's got a twin brother, obviously, this Lucas Conan, the Belgian youngster. He's only 16 years old. He's got a twin brother. He's just put up there that is Sasha Conan. Sasha, he's on a factory team as well. So both of them guys, 16 years old, and from what Ben's saying there, he obviously must have ambitions to come to America, saying that he's going to come over and do the business. So they could be the next couple. They're 16 years old, like I said, and Lucas has already won a couple of Grand Prix this year, I believe, in the MX2 in the World Championship, so at 16. So we remember like Roxon's were like 15, 16 when they were winning some Grand Prix stuff and that. So yeah, it could be interesting to see them. So they're both they're Belgian guys, so be interesting.
Yeah, I didn't know that. No, that's very interesting. Yeah. I'm sure everybody's watching them already.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. good shout from Ben there. So
Yeah.
thank you so much for your
Thanks,
time, Danny. Really
thanks,
appreciate it.
Lee. That
You're
that
amazing.
was nice. Good talk, good chatting, and keep it up.
Thank you, mate. I appreciate
I like
it.
watching your interviews.
Amazing to get you on. So cool to get to speak to legends like yourself. I really do appreciate it, buddy. Thank you very much.
All right, Lee. Thank you.
Thank
Have
you,
a good
mate.
day. Good
Thanks
evening.
for your time. Thank you, Danny. Cheers,
Go
buddy.
to bed.
Peace out. Legend. Thank you. What a man, Danny La Porte. How cool was that? He's a legend, proper. 2 nights. The doctor dogged her back, and Danny La Porte. Major cool guys. So talk so well, so detailed, very cool. 100%. Oh, you're doing Italy as well this weekend, are you? Cool. You're going for free. You're going for the hat trick already this year. Fair play, mate. Yeah, the doctor and the door. Is that a thing? The doctor and the door. It rhymes, eh? Whoever that is, thank you, buddy, whoever that is. And yeah, it was great to speak to him. I'll share this out there. If you see me put it out, all the stuff gets recorded onto YouTube. So I'll get the link out there tomorrow. Share it out there. Get as many fans as we can to see these. It'd be cool. You can subscribe to my YouTube channel for free on Motocross and Speedway Memories. And obviously it'd be cool if you followed all my social medias. I've got a Facebook group, Facebook page, Twitter, Instagram, and all that as well. Cheers, Darren. Thanks for coming on, buddy. Hope you're good. Like that profile there. I think that's, what is that? What size bike is that? My dad made my first ever bike I had. Well, the first bike I ever raced on was an 80cc Yam that my dad made out of parts after I'd been practicing on the Italjet that he made too with a Speedway disc in it. So a swimming Speedway car. That was cool. All right. Well, good luck with that, Ben. I'm sure you'll smash it at the weekend, my friend. So good luck with that. Oh dear. Sounds like the sleep's going to be low, but the fun's going to be high, Benjamin. So fly high. Enjoy while we can, my friend. Enjoy. Super cool to do. When you and I was going to say that, you and Jack Bernicle busy, you know who to call. I think I'd be less nervous now, and I'd enjoy it a bit more if I went to do it again. I literally didn't even sleep in the hotel, by the way, the night before. I literally just watched all the qualifying stuff on my laptop in the hotel room all evening, trying to write down my own versions of the pronunciations of the names on the sheets, because I've watched it all the time, obviously. But when you realize all of a sudden you've got to say it, then I was like, oh my God, I was literally there with a pad and writing all my pronunciations to try and get it right, and listening to the commentary and thinking, right, that's how you say that. Oh, it was a long night and I didn't sleep at all. And I went down to the studio about 3 a.m. I think. Didn't really need to go that early, really, because there wasn't many people around. And I thought, oh, I could have maybe even had a couple of hours. And then it started at 5 a.m. obviously. But yeah, I know. You imagine, yeah, slept in on your debut. But no, I just stay up all night, mate. I just go haywire. And then I had a little thing, and so it's a YZ 183. Wow, that's mega, isn't it? So is that yours? Is it, Darren? That's mental. I think mine was, I started in 1989 when I was 12, but my dad made it out of parts, so it almost looked exactly like that, pretty much. Not sure who that is, but yo, Ben, that sounds like a Beastie Boys song titled No Sleep Till Brooklyn. That's brilliant. But yeah, big love, Ben, and hope that all goes well at the weekend. I've still got my is it Lombok in Indonesia, the Eurosport, the 4 recordings of the 2MX2 and the 2MX GP. They're still on my recording on the Virgin box on the TV. Even though it was very bizarre to hear your own name on the thing, because I've sat there, I've heard obviously yourself the week before. How cool was that? 2 modern schoolboy scramble riders that ended up doing the MXGP live commentary 2 weeks on the trot. I think you were, didn't you do what's the Newcastle one? Now, Schoolhouse. I think he was at Schoolhouse, was it? That's why you couldn't do it. So yeah, how cool was that? It was mega, wasn't it? So it's cool that you're getting to do some more of it. And by the way, for the record, Ben, I still haven't been paid yet from the first one. So I hope you're doing better than me, especially as you're about to do your third one. Yeah, nothing yet. All I've had so far from that is 100 quid fine. So that was really cool. I think the old the emissions thing with London, I paid the £12.50 or whatever it was to go in, and they don't cover that expense. They do cover your fuel, but I haven't got that yet either. They got obviously a really nice hotel, so that was cool. But then yeah, so I got home and didn't realise I had to pay the £12.50 going out as well. And so it ended up being like 100 quid odd. I think it was 90 odd quid or whatever it was plus that. So all I've got so far at the moment out of it is minus 107 quid so far. But it was really cool to do. Oh, no way. So that was the week before mine, wasn't it? So mine was like the 1st or 2nd of July, the Sunday I did. Yeah, that's it. Love that. I'm glad I'm not the only weirdo. Do you think Jack Bernacle keeps all his recordings saved on the old? Don't think so, do you? But we bloody do. Yeah, that was it. That's it, mate. Yeah, I thought it was. You went to Schoolhouse, so yeah. Hopefully, I get to do it again. Yeah, I know exactly. I just didn't even. I've apparently is sorted now, so I've done the sheet now. Apparently, this was obviously a thing as well. I think the expenses thing's done now for this fuel thing or whatever. I don't know what it is. Is it 40 odd PM miles, something like that? So it's like, I don't know, it's like 60 or 70 quid or something like that. It's not even going to cover my fuel. Wow, it'll cover my fuel, but that won't even cover my fine yet. So hopefully, I spoke to that other bird. What's her name? Katie. So she reckons that hopefully it's going to be sorted now. But yeah, it's hard work, mate. It is, isn't it? I wonder why Jack Bernacle gets him to do it for him. I'm like, can you set us up on that same system? So if you ever need us to do it, can we be on the same system as Jack, where you just sort it out for us? It's absolutely nuts, isn't it? It's like, geez, I thought we were like pretty down with the stuff online, but flipping out, absolute madness. It's like, that's a cool way not to pay, just to make it impossible to get paid. Yeah, I get that. Yeah, the main reason we got him because they've got lost a lot of commentators. I expect they have. Who the hell can work on that basis of getting paid like 2 or 3 months after we've done it? It's like mental, isn't it? But yeah, it was a cool experience. Hopefully, I get to do it again. I'm sure there'll probably be a time when Jack's busy and you're busy as well, and I might get another go at it. It'd be cool. I'd be, like I said, I'd be more prepared for it this time because I did relax after the first race anyway. But you know what I mean. Just be a little bit less stressed. I'd make sure I actually sleep this time and not stay up all night the night before and things like that. Would just make it a little bit cooler. So hopefully I get another chance to have a go next year sometime or something. Keep me in the loop, my friend. Very good, mate. Very good. I'm impressed with that track as well because we nearly went there for reunion too. And we changed it, thinking along the lines of the parking and stuff like that. We was worried like 300 odd or whatever we was expecting at that time that we might not get it in, and then about if it was wet or something. But the track was rode really well. We had quite a bit of rain in the end, and on the Sunday after the flipping Sahara. So we had the Sahara Desert Saturday, and then Sunday it was like nice and cool, which I liked. But yeah, it was, track's really nice, and that Yuli Club did a mint job on it, and yeah, it was really good. I really liked the track. I would have loved that racing when we raced, for sure. Loads of berm bashing, loads of picking smooth lines through the rough. That's a bit of me. A bit of berm bashing, a bit of no shutting off, and a bit of clutching that 125. That would have been cool. Yeah, it was really good, mate. So it was cool. Do something different again as well with the AMCA. That was cool. Knew a few of the riders anyway, so that was all right. And then went down and interviewed the riders when they come off and stuff like that. And some of the groups it was fun because there was a couple of groups there was one group that had actually 3 groups in one, so that was fun. 3 groups of 85s in one, I think, and then there was obviously they did the MX2 Championship and the Open Championship together, a couple of vets together. So yeah, the process. Commentating on 2 or 3 groups at once, so there's technically 3 different leaders out there. So it was like, so we're going to talk you through the girls class, and then the small wheel 85, and then the 85 Championship they call it. So yeah, it was. But luckily, like I said, that's why I think I said in the live video before I even started, I said I'm glad I'm like a bit experienced with all this now, and you sort of, once you get through the nerves of doing these big events we've done, you can sort of like be a bit more relaxed about it and none of those anxieties, as it were. So yeah, I was chilled out. And if I'd have saw that right back at the start, I'd been like, what the fuck? Yeah, 3 groups. That was a new one for me. We've all done the ones with 2 groups, haven't we, together? But in the 85s, there was 3 lots of different groups. I was like, bloody hell. So there's technically 3 different leaders out there. So I'd be like, the girls' leader is, small wheel 85 leader is. It's nuts. And then you'd start doing that. They're 4th overall in the race, but they're actually 2nd in their group and all that. Keeps you busy. Thank God for the transponders, by the way. Jesus Christ. Can you imagine? Imagine going back to the old lap scoring days of our mums in the lap scoring van and all that with 3 different groups. Yeah, it was mental, but it was good fun and I enjoyed it. And I do like the groups because I like the 125 Championship, obviously. That was cool. Luke Deans and all them guys, and hockey, and yeah, that was a really cool group. And actually, fact, when they put the MX2 Championship in with the Open, so you had like Dodd and Careless and all that, that was really cool because that made it really good. All the top riders in there together. Then there was Josh Taylor and all that. It was like cool. There was some bloody good racing, so that was good. Actually worked out good that the groups were together. But I do like, as you know, soft spot for the 125 Championship, so it was good watching them guys for sure. And then they had the 125 youth class, which was basically almost like another 125 in with the ladies championship as well, with Marnie Saunders and stuff. So it was cool to see sort of 2 lots of 125s as well. So I did enjoy that part of it as well for sure. But yeah, right, I'm going to get off and go and have some late tea. That's actually my first wedding anniversary tomorrow to my Lainey Lou. And so we're off tomorrow to have a little hotel stay away. And then we're going to get to go on a really cool super yacht from our friend, Mr. Andy Hobbs. So absolutely buzzing with that. We've got a few Speedway guys and some family and friends that are coming. So I'm sure we'll do some videos on Saturday on that. Thought that was a bit of a once in a lifetime opportunity. So when he said to me about it, I was absolutely buzzing. So can't wait to get on Lucky Ash. Especially my dad used to call me Ash as well, Lee Ash. So yeah, from my dad, look, always leave it on that. It's nice to be important, but it's important to be nice. Much love to you all. Good luck at the weekend, Ben. I'm sure you'll smash it. Oh, thank you, my friend. That's very nice of you, Ben. You didn't need to do that. I really appreciate that. Thank you, mate. Happy anniversary tomorrow. No, you didn't, mate. You can come on anytime. You're full of the knowledge. You're one of the most knowledgeable I know. So I love, if I ever need stats, I'd definitely come to you. You love it, don't you? Oh, I thought I was OCD and general and stuff, but you're another level on the details. Oh. Whoa. Can't see the name of that person, but Lee, would you be interested in attending the up-and-coming Carlsberg reunion in Carlsberg, California, USA? Whoa. Bloody hell. Can I get a train there? Yeah, cheers, Ben. All the best, mate. And good night and God bless to you all. Hope you're all good, and I'll keep you up to date. Like I said, I'm going to do a live interview with Bradley Smith. I'm going to try and hook that up with next week. The road racer that he used to do BSMA, British Schoolboy Motocross, before he got into all that, into the big world of MotoGP, etc. So that'll be a cool one to do. I'll let you know when I'm going to do that. I've been speaking to loads of speed riders. Going to do a part 2 with John Davis, who's still the most viewed video out there ever, because it was absolutely insane. If you want to hear some straight talking and some shooting from the hip, then don't miss that one. Oh, basically, Randy, it's basically because you've got to basically sort of register your Facebook. Basically, there's a link on the post before you come in the video, a little blue link, and you click on it, and it basically just gives, it's like a privacy thing. So then it'll show up like that, you know, with your profile. That's why it doesn't show up. So at the very start, like you missed that. At the very start, I always put the comments in as well, so that people can click on that link as well if they miss the link on the post before they come in the video, because obviously everyone just clicks straight on the video, which I totally get, but they miss the link, and then I sometimes put it in the comments so people can click on it, and then you can see their profile like so. Otherwise, it just comes up like that, like a Facebook user, and then you don't know who you're talking to. So yeah. So thanks, Randy. Hopefully next time you'll know about that link thing, and it'd be good to see your name and your profile come up. But you can message me anytime on Facebook anyway. I know exactly, eh? That's what we've just been talking about, all the old stupid mod cons, eh? But it was good to get Danny La Porte on. Like, even we had issues with that when it first come on, because everything's so bloody complicated now, isn't it? Jesus, pay bills with this and that, and how do the older generation that are not quite into some of these mod cons sort out some of this stuff online? I do not know. Me and Ben's just been talking about getting paid from the MXGP stuff, and that's absolutely nuts. How, like we said, no wonder Jack gets his sorted out by them himself, because it's absolutely mental. You get just literally lost in it. We thought we know sort of what we're doing online, but there we go. Yeah. So much love to you all. See you all soon. I'll keep you updated what I'm going to do. Cheers, guys.